Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 53 for the week of August. Shit, I said it like four times before. 13th, 2018.
So like four times immediately before
I know,
the thing
I have
started.
a really terrible memory sometimes. 2018.
You have a less than 1 second memory. My gosh, Mr.
I
Goldfish.
know, I am
Mr.
really terrible. My
Goldfish.
brain just refuses to remember things that I perceive as irrelevant, such as today's date. So, you know.
Even if you'll need it in
Or
legitimately less than
sometimes-
a second.
Exactly.
Sometimes you're like, huh, that's interesting, and you remember it for 25 years.
Yeah, I'm exactly like that. I don't know. I
Like,
can't
you
help it.
remembered that I was allergic to bees before I did.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember having a conversation like, and you were talking about something, and I was like, "But you're allergic to bees,"
And I was like, oh,
and you were
yeah.
like, "How do you know that?" I'm like, "You told
Yeah,
me."
right.
But you're allergic to bees. I just assumed that the conversation before this was like, you know what? I think it'd be really cool. You know that picture of Winnie the Pooh that Alex Hirsch draw where he's like spitting out bees? What if I did that but for real?
Yes, sure. That's what that conversation was about. Anyway, moving
Walk
on.
up to someone and go, Christopher! And just bees fly out of his mouth.
Yep, that's exactly what we were talking about. How did you know?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I'm good with these things.
Yeah, so I don't know. My brain just catalogs certain things as completely unimportant when I need them in seconds from now, and I don't.
Yeah.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
What's today's fucking day, bitch?
So here's the question. Who is joining you today, Saine?
So I'm your
cat.
host as always, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson
Oh,
It's me! I'm the one joining him today.
and Thel.
And that's it!
I thought that when you said that, what you were talking about was like Nick and Judy in the background there.
Oh.
I was like, what do you mean?
Why
You're
would
talking
you
about
think that?
Is one of his cat? Yeah, okay. Well, because when he said that, right? Well, I thought that you had already like gotten through that part,
Oh.
so I was just like, he's talking about the cats? Like, he's talking about Nick and Judy back there? This is Guardians of the Galaxy. What the fuck you talking about?
I do have a cat.
Speaking
Yeah,
of the
somewhere.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
He's sleeping.
Alright.
He's sleeping there. There you
Ah,
go.
he is.
bastard. I could be sleeping.
He like just
Anyway.
totally didn't care that I moved the chair he was sleeping in over there.
Oh, yeah.
My cat does that sometimes. I will like pick her up while she's asleep, and then she'll be annoyed, and then I'll just put her down somewhere else, and she'll be like, "Okay, I'm sleeping here now."
He
I
didn't
just throw
even
my
do
cat
that.
over
He
my
just
shoulder
like
and
continued
fuck.
sleeping as I was moving his chair all over the place.
Good.
Yes.
All right.
Very good.
So we're gonna start off by talking about the game we've played this week,
Yeah.
And maybe a movie.
and
somewhere
maybe
in there.
a movie that we've seen this week, and then probably take a break and then head into the news. That's the plan for today.
So Thel, why don't you start?
With the movie. I
With the
swear I
movie.
played another game this week. It might have just been Gungeon, though.
It was Gungeon. It had to have been because you were working on that video.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I can
It was
look it up
Dungeon.
for you
Come
right
on.
now.
Okay.
So tell us about.
Oh,
That movie
okay.
that I haven't committed to
The
memory.
movie that I watched this week. First Reformed. It was a movie that I watched last night. I also watched Apocalypse Now with Dalsson, but First Reformed came out this year. This was Paul Schrader's return to film. Paul Schrader being the most famously known for having written Raging Bull and good old Taxi Driver. This is one of those movies, genre movie I
Isn't
love.
that game? Where
uh,
you drive a taxi.
You're thinking of Crazy Taxi.
Oh, okay, I was close.
How is that close?
It's close.
Okay.
There's a man who's crazy and he drives a taxi. It's essentially the same thing. So First Reformed falls into the category of movies I love. Priests dealing with modern problems, and rather than exploring whether or not they'll still believe in God, like God's not dead, instead it focuses on other things, like attempting to keep your sanity when faced with all of these horrible problems people have, because people sometimes use you as like a psychiatrist. That's what happens. And it was definitely that, but it wasn't exactly the movie that I expected it to be. There was a movie that came out, when was it? It was like 2014, 15, something like that, earlier in the decade called Cavalry, which was a movie with Brendan Gleeson. It was a little Irish film about basically the same stuff. It was a guy tries to deal with all of the like people having like not just like deal with the fact that they're all sinning, but more that they all of their sins are bringing them like this horrible heartache, and he's trying to be like, no, stop doing that, and they don't. It wasn't.
This was an A24 film, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that studio.
Yeah, they're fucking
publishing company. I don't even know what to call it.
Release studio. But yeah.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead and continue.
But yeah. It was a little bit unlike Cavalry, because of the fact that it was sort of like the inverse of that, where Cavalry was like, there was the centerfold of the movie where Brendan Gleeson as the priest sort of holds to his faith and keeps moving while everyone else is like racked with the pain of modern life. This is a movie about a preacher talking to a man and about like some of his problems with modern life. Specifically, like he talks to a man who is like an eco-terrorist and who's like incredibly concerned about the planet, and that like infects him to the point of sort of driving him, like he's already not taking very good care of himself, and then he just takes less and less good care of himself, and begins to like follow his ideas of eco-terrorism, and I sort of didn't expect it to go that direction. And it's funny that I didn't expect it to go that direction, because this man wrote Taxi Driver, and it's like that's the same. It's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, it was a very, very good movie. The cinematography was gorgeous. It was the aspect ratio was 4:3, so it got really up and close with all the people, really, really intimate with everyone. It was shot on film, unlike any other I think film that Paul Schrader has ever touched. Or not shot on film. I mean shot on digital. So it has that like digital look.
Well, that's becoming more common though. So
oh yeah,
it's not unexpected.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and I mean he does really good with digital. It looks very nice.
What do you mean by digital look? Because I mean other than when there's obvious effects and stuff, like do you just mean that there's no like grain?
Everything looks a little bit more like it takes place on a cloudy day. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's got very whites and like all of like the sort of darker colors, so a little bit more muted.
Right.
That's odd because I don't think it would be that hard to make the darks look dark. If anything, you would be able to manipulate it more if it wasn't film. So I think that must just be like a post-processing
that's what I mean. That's
thing.
yeah. On that's what I was saying. Like on digital, it looks like that.
No, but yeah. Oh, looks darker or looks lighter?
Looks darker.
Okay. Yeah, I think you might have said the opposite then. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Either that or I got it wrong.
But yeah. I very well could have. But yeah, it is a very good film and follows a very direct path down into this priest's growing concern with the ecological problems and how he feels the church has been a little bit like hypocritical about it, specifically like the churches that he's working with.
Right.
He's the main plot aside from that is that he is the pastor of a historical First Reformed church that was like a church on the on the Underground Railroad that's having its like 250th anniversary. That's been there since like the founding of America, and he's going to have like this 250th anniversary celebration that's mostly going to be held by like the pastor of the local mega church and also a guy who runs like a big corporation in the town, and he's like dealing with the hypocrisy of those guys, and this kind of drives him to do very, very crazy things like Taxi Driver. This movie has like a message about this, but it doesn't display the man who is saying the message as sane or that these are things that you should do.
Right.
it displays,
I watched a episode of Preacher, which is a show about a priest who kills people instead of questioning his faith the whole time.
Oh,
nice.
Yep, that show's weird. It's getting weirder by the day.
Good. That's a good sign. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. It's a polished shaded film. He's back. After Mishima, I think he died and then came back to life. And this is him coming back to life.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Jesus metaphor.
I didn't realize that's who Paul Schrader was.
Yeah.
My brain also catalogs that as unimportant.
Fair enough.
See, here's so here's the impasse we've come to.
Hmm?
We have one more game to discuss.
Yeah, but there's probably plenty to discuss.
And that's it. There is definitely. So, of course, I'm talking about Monster Hunter World. It recently released on PC, just recently, and I've been with Monster Hunter since the PlayStation 2, so I'd like one of you guys to start with your thoughts on it.
So have I, technically.
Fair enough.
Excuse me. This is the first time I've ever played a Monster Hunter game.
So why don't we let Thel start?
All right.
Unsurprising to anybody.
Yeah. Unsurprising to anybody. So the only other Monster Hunter game I've ever played was Dauntless. And I think needless to say, I like this a little bit more than Dauntless because Dauntless is like it's a much smaller game that's trying to capture the same sort of thing.
I think I understand what Dauntless is doing wrong now.
Yeah. Actually, go into that. What is it, do you think?
Yeah.
So Dauntless focused a lot of energy on monster design, which obviously is important in a Monster Hunter like game. But I think the thing it loses is it doesn't do anything with environmental design.
Yeah.
Right.
And the actual hunts are way shorter. So you spend maybe a third of the time hunting a monster in the same location over and over again.
Yeah.
And I get that it's in beta, but really it needed to focus more on that, because even though it's still instanced in Monster Hunter World, it doesn't feel like an instance, if that makes sense.
Right.
It doesn't feel like, oh, they launched you in the same place again for you to go run and find the same dude again.
In the same place.
Yeah, so I don't know.
In fairness, in older Monster Hunter games, this is the first Monster Hunter game that did away with zone lines. You know those little hallways that you run to?
Yeah, and I've played Monster Hunter Generations, so I do know what that is. And actually that's like for the better for sure, because it was really annoying in Generations to constantly be zoning. But
yeah. One of the things that you lose is the ability to go over a zone line, heal, and then come back.
Well, good.
That's okay because they also updated the way that health potions work, where you can still move and roll out of them and stuff. So,
but I feel like if they had kept that, all that would have, if they kept that, all it really would change would be, you would have to see a cut or like a loading screen to use your stuff and then come back and see another loading screen. And I feel like all that would really do is waste time to do the most efficient thing, which
it does.
Which, maybe it sucks for the people who wanted to do that very efficient way of doing things, but at the same time, it just makes things a lot more smoother and consistent to just not have that. Even if sometimes you die when sharpening your weapon in a corner.
Yeah, exactly. Did you have any more thoughts, though? We kind of stopped you in the middle there.
Well, as like a first Monster Hunter game, it's basically everything I expected it to be.
Yeah.
You fight big ass monsters for kind of a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
The hunts go on for like a long time, so like I'll spend like a lot of time in town, and that's one of the things that's really nice about this game is, maybe just because of the fact that the hunts do last so long, spending time in town is like, it feels like if I'm spending a lot of time dicking around, messing with my inventory and crafting stuff, it's not like I'm spending most of the game doing that. I'm definitely spending most of the game hunting monsters.
Yeah.
And beating them up.
Somehow I'm not convinced, but okay.
Well, in actuality, a lot of monster hunts, except for maybe the first time you're hunting it, don't really last as long as they feel. They definitely feel like they last longer, but most of the time you are beating a monster in less than 15 minutes.
That's not true at
It's
all.
just the
Not for me. In the time that I've played, the fastest hunt I've ever done was 20 minutes.
really
Solo anyway. Like once
There-
we're
Yeah,
grouped, then
yeah.
maybe we'll run through it quicker. But I've
solo,
gone
yeah, they take a
anywhere
long
from like 20 minutes to like an hour, and I think
Yeah.
the average is probably like 45 minutes. So
well,
Yeah.
it can't be that long because you only have 50 minutes to hunt a monster. Once those 50
No, I guess
minute
that's
barrier
true.
passes,
But
it's like that's it, it's done, and it'll tell you when you've reached 20 minutes.
okay,
and
so
10
it's
minutes.
probably more like 30 then. But still, it does feel like I've looked at the clock, and maybe it's not entirely just hunt time. It's like setup time too, because I've looked at the
Yeah.
clock, been like, okay, you know, it's 1 a.m. I could probably get another hunt in. So I do it, and
Yeah.
then by the time that I'm done with preparation, going to the hunt, the load screens, the actual hunt itself, and then like maybe afterwards checking to see if I can craft stuff or whatever, then it's been
Right.
like an hour. So
Right.
Yeah.
so each hunt is still like a large chunk of time, which I think is
Yeah.
the major difference between Dauntless. Like Dauntless was so like that one really was monsters were like 10 15 minutes if that.
Yeah.
So
And they still gave you like a long ass amount of time to hunt the monsters.
Here's the thing about Dauntless to draw the comparison further. I think I don't know if you guys have noticed like very very specifically, but in I was noticing this when we were playing Dauntless. In Dauntless, the monsters never really show many signs of like wear, right? It's like you just keep hitting it and they just keep doing the same things really.
I would
until
almost say the opposite. The one thing that they did do well in that game because of the art style, I think, is they really showed scars and battle damage.
Yeah.
And they did do the limping thing. They just didn't run
Yeah.
away as often.
Yeah.
And I think that was like an intentional choice for Dauntless to make them run away less and to make them die faster. Because I think that in their mind, they wanted to streamline Monster Hunter and make it easier and more approachable. And one of the things that they wanted to do was make them make the monsters a little bit less grindy. And I know that coming into it, like having never really played a Monster Hunter game for any significant amount of time, that was one of the things that was most annoying, was that it took a long time, at least when you're first starting out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're learning.
I feel like if some of the earlier monsters had less health and felt a bit less spongy, then, you know, it might make the later monsters feel better and have a little bit less frustration in the beginning. Because especially when you're trying to learn new weapons, like for a first-time player ever, to have to be learning new weapons and fighting monsters that take forever to kill, and the monsters, like, you only get a certain number of times you can even die in a mission. Like, those things stack up to make it a little bit unapproachable for new players. And I was the most
especially
frustrated.
like casual players, like casual video game players.
Right.
I mean.
Especially, like, I wouldn't even recommend this to a casual gamer at all.
Yeah.
No.
But like that's part of the reason why I was most frustrated with Monster Hunter the first day I was playing it.
Right. I remember that, and I wanted to like argue with you, but I knew that if you just kind of kept playing it, it would start to feel better.
Well, what happened to
I know that
and it's a good thing you didn't argue with me, because if you argued with me, I probably would have just quit. But
I know.
But I think one of the things that helped, and I hate this about Monster Hunter. This is one of the things that I really don't like. But this isn't a Monster Hunter thing. This is like a me thing. I really dislike looking up guides for anything. I don't like, one of my favorite things about playing video games is learning how to do it well and learn things on my own. But the problem is with Monster Hunter, I felt so ineffective that the only way I made any progress and was able to actually play the game was by looking up guides. So for the three main weapons that I use, I had to look up guides for each of them to figure out how to do them. Because I hate that about about any video games that do that, but like in this case, it was such a necessary evil for me because I was not having fun without knowing how, without knowing what the most optimal combos are for these weapons. And it felt like a fighting game in that instance where like the only way I felt like I could make any progress is by learning the combos. And in a fighting game, that's all it is. You have to learn the combo things, and then like when you get so consistently good at the combos, then there's the strategy layer of fighting other people. And it feels like this game, at least the combos are kind of a lot more basic than that. And once you have the basic idea of how to do exactly the weapon, then then there's more
as opposed
stuff.
to having to master the weapon and then learn everything else.
Yeah, so I don't know. I felt also this game is like, and I don't think anyone's gonna argue with me. This game is like really weird with how it sets up its menus and how it like puts like things that are really important in places where you might never notice them. Like you told me about the botanist farm thing. I had never even talked to that character.
But at one point in one of the cutscenes, they said the botanist farm should be up and running. Go and talk to the botanist.
No, they make you talk to him for a second, and then I talked to him to get rid of the marker so that I could go accept a quest. Like it didn't pull you into the menu and force you to engage with it. It was just like, go talk to this dude. I talked to him, and it's like, okay, go on this mission. So I was like, okay.
Right.
Like,
well, and not only that, but there was a point in time where they were like, hey, go talk to this dude. And I talked to the wrong dude and went on the mission.
Plus, I don't pay attention to any of the cutscenes or any of the, like, talking because it's really boring. The story is really... I've never found a more uninteresting story in my life.
I feel it is. It's definitely... It's pretty boring.
And I know that doesn't matter because that's not even, like... That's not even what people care about in Monster Hunter, and it's certainly not what I care about in Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But
Monster Hunter 4's story was a lot better, but it still wasn't good. It's like they didn't. It's I don't know. It's not important.
And it's like I'm seeing bits of it, and I'm like, I see what you're doing here. Like if you didn't bombard me with 20-minute people talking to each other scenes all the time, then maybe I would care more. But
we are looking for Zora Magdaros. We are in a new place where Zora Magdaros has been. That's the same thing as the last couple places. I don't need you to tell me 20 million times.
Yeah,
this old lady is here and she's been a monster hunter on this island for a while.
I think it's okay. I think it's a little bit important, right, to justify why you are hunting a monster. It makes it a little more interesting to say, oh no, we can't fly down to the Rotten Vale because Legiana is attacking our ship every time we go by, so go kill it for us.
I wish they would say that. I wish they would say that like that instead of going, Legiana, what's a Legiana? A Legiana is this, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, Zora Magdaros. So it's just constantly...
and the worst... Yeah, and the worst thing is, it's like, they spend so much time on all of these characters, and it's like...
I don't care about any of them. The coolest character in the whole game so far has been the Huntsman, who's just a guy in full plate armor who comes to save you once.
I kind of like that old lady.
Doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
The old lady's kind of cool.
Yeah, the old lady and the Huntsman. It's like, these are the characters that have gotten, like, the least screen time, and they're the best ones.
No, they're probably the best ones because they have the least screen time.
Exactly.
Like the Huntsman doesn't even have any lines. Like, in every single cutscene, he's just in the background, like... And he's like, hey, you know what to do, and the Huntsman's like...
Yeah. I think it was like, I think he had a couple lines and he just sounded like tired of this shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, the player can identify with that.
I'm too old. I'm too old for this shit.
Well, while you're watching a cutscene, you sort of feel like the Huntsman.
Yeah, you're just sitting there monster.
I don't mind the cutscenes as much. The only problem is that they're unskippable.
Yeah.
I don't mind them though because some of them are kind of interesting. I wish that you didn't have to see the little cutscene where it zooms in on the monster in order to have people play with you.
Yeah, see, I like I would like it like, okay, so like the Odegarin cutscene, right? Where like the Odegarin comes out and starts fucking on both of you and you escape from it. Like that's the kind of cutscene that I want to see for monsters, where it kind of like shows off their abilities, or like when you go under Barroth's feet and shoot at its eyes. That cutscene even tells you if you shoot at its face, it'll stun it.
Or even that that cutscene where you first go to the Rotten Vale and the chick throws like some explosion slinger ammo at you so that you can use that. Like that's fine. Like I feel like that was a good way to do a cutscene, but I don't know. It's when they have like these really long, let's look at this huge vista cutscene and then talk about stuff for like 5 minutes about who cares.
Well, like visually, the environmental design in Monster Hunter has always been great.
I know, but I can look at those. I can look at those vistas myself, and I have, but I don't need them to like force me to sit there and look at it, because it's like, look, I'm running around in this place all the fucking time. I don't need you to force me to look at it.
Unless they were to make the vistas into collectible little things that you can mark off on your map for no real reason other than to do it, like in Guild Wars.
Well, I just wouldn't. There's already too much shit I don't want to engage with in Monster Hunter, to be honest.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't want to do any of the collection quests, but they'd like... You don't need to do them. You can do the whole game, never do a collection quest, but they'll give you so much more powerful stuff, like Megan's been saying.
Well, I kind of haven't, but I mean even smaller stuff, like I don't want to run around and look for specific drops of, like specific bugs to craft materials with. I don't want to like look around for. I don't even want to look around for like mining nodes, even though I know I really need them, but I just don't want to. Like I would rather fight a monster like 4 times and happen upon one that it's fighting near. Like I would rather do it that way than go on an expedition looking for it, even though I know that would be way faster.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Another thing about like the vistas, right? There was a point in time when I was playing this game, like the first time, I walked up to like the place where you build all of your armor, and I hung out there, and then I looked behind me. I was like, wow, there's a really pretty sunset going over this, going over the water there. I can see the whole town. This game is really pretty. I thought that while I was playing the fucking game.
Yeah, not while you were being forced into a cutscene that you
when I'm being forced in the cutscene watching, yes, you sure did design this graphical visual that I'm looking at with my eyes right now. Thanks for showing it off, I guess.
I did have that same exact moment that you did, Thel, where I looked at the sunset in the town. The only thing I would say is it looked a little painted on. It looked like you were in a big room and one wall was painted because it didn't look very three-dimensional. But it did look pretty.
Yeah. So, but that's one of the things that I like so much about Monster Hunter is even if you aren't doing that shit, right? Like you're like, I don't want to go on an expedition for mining nodes. I just want to keep fighting monsters. It's still just the base core gameplay of the game. It's fun to fight the monsters. Yeah. Sometimes if you're really like today on my stream for like 2 hours, I was fighting the same monster to get a Wyvern Gem, and after I fought it like 5 or 6 times, it became a routine, and I was like, okay, well, I've got to do it again because I didn't get the part. But
yeah, but I'll never make that bow unless I find enough coral.
Exactly. And then it's like once you get enough coral, like you'll get a big upgrade to your bow. It might not be huge, but you'll be able to like feel it.
Well, but the problem with that is that particular thing is that coral is only a rare material in a mining node on a specific map.
So this actually does
and you can't get it from any monsters, by the way.
Yeah, you can't get it from monsters. That really sucks. So, but this does bring me to a good point. There's a system that they implemented in the game, which is kind of similar to an old system they had called expeditions. Expeditions now being just go to the map, but expeditions used to be like randomly generated maps that you could find by breaking parts of monsters and stuff. They added a system called investigations, right? And essentially what that does is you get a randomized quest to hunt a monster in a particular zone. You get bonus rewards for the monster and stuff. Sometimes investigations will be slay quests. So like it'll say slay a bunch of those bugs. And then you don't have to go into an expedition and seek out the bugs and try to carve them. You'll just kill them and you'll get the rewards at the end. In some of these investigation instances, you'll see like a little map modifier that's tied to the investigation, such as mining point surge. So there's going to be just a ton of mining points all over that. So you could be like, hey, this has a mining point surge. Maybe we'll go hunt the monster and we'll find a lot of mining points and see all that coral there. So
well, I only noticed those attributes on investigation modes like recently, like last time I played. Like when I was ending the night, I was just happening to looking at my investigations. I was like, oh, I never noticed that thing. This game bombards you with so much information all the time that it's like the only way to be able to do anything is to just ignore 90% of it until you either need it or like someone tells you that it existed in the first place. It's just I don't know.
It's very difficult. It's still like you can see, right, that they're trying to, I wouldn't say dumb it down. That's the wrong word because that's more negative. They're trying to make it more accessible, but they're still not doing a very good job. It's certainly better than going through tutorial missions where it's like, okay, go collect herbs. Okay, now go into this mission and craft potions. Okay, now go into this mission and collect a bunch of mushrooms. Okay, now go into this mission.
I don't really know what to really do about it because I played Monster Hunter Generations and I had the opposite problem, and that game was like tutorials the game for a long time. And I quit before I got out of the tutorial because it was just like, okay, now you're forced to talk to this person. This person does this. This is how you do this. This is how you do this. Okay, now go talk to this person, and you have to do that. And then I went and hunted like a small monster. And then came back and was like, okay, this is how you craft. This is how to do this. And then, like, I think I quit before I got, like, I ever saw even a large monster. Just because there was so, like, it was so boring.
Yeah, it was awful. Like, the way it delivers tutorials to you in this is the first time that you go into, like, the menu, say, like, the botany menu, the first time that you talk to that guy, it will give you the botany tutorial. But if you don't ever talk to that guy, then you're not going to get the tutorial, and you could go through the whole game not knowing that you could just make 8 honey every single quest and have free mega potions for the rest of your life.
Well, yeah, but I never, the thing is, though, I never really had a reason to talk to that person. Because the one time they force you to talk to person, they don't go into the menu. They just...
The worst... Yeah. The worst part about the botany guy for me, was when I was told to talk to the botany guy, there's this tiny man, sitting outside of this giant, arboretum with, trees and stuff. That's the man I talked to.
He was like a botany assistant. He's...
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh, yes, botany man standing outside of the big thing right next to the thing with the books. This is the person. Nah, he's sitting at, a desk with a couple of flowers on,
I think that's the botany man's palico. It's
the
not
botany
even the
man's
botany man.
elf, little elf man. That's the botany man's Dobby.
Excuse me, they're called Wavarians, and they have a very beautiful life cycle. They start out as children, then they grow into adults, and then they shrink into little horrible gremlins.
They start out as children, grow into elves, then turn into goblins.
Yeah.
Anyway.
They start out as anime elves, turn into Western elves, then grow into pre-Tolkien elves. The 3 life cycles of elves.
Where does Keebler fit into this?
At the end.
I would say it's...
Keebler's middle-aged.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know. I'm it's hard to say that I know how they should have done it instead. I feel like maybe they could have made some of the earlier fights a little bit less spongy.
Yeah.
Even the great Jagras, I felt like when you first get to it, it takes kind of a long time to kill him. And then later when you get a decent weapon, or even a weapon made of parts of him, then it doesn't even take that long at all. So I just feel like they should... maybe the idea is they want you to feel accomplished when you fight it, but early on, I don't think that you need that. I think early on they need you to you just need to kill some stuff because that's what the game is, and you don't need to spend 20 minutes trying to catch something that is running away from you the entire time.
I like that sense of accomplishment thing it gives you, because frequently when we were playing Monster Hunter Tri with my old friends from high school, frequently we would go and fight a monster, and like a great Jaggy would walk in, and we would just be like, oh, whatever, ignore it. And we would like accidentally kill it with side swings while we were fighting the big monster. And it's like, wow, that took us 15 minutes the last time we tried to fight it intentionally.
But I think you can do that later on. The problem is when the first few monsters need to be weak enough that it doesn't take like 20 minutes to kill it on your own.
Right.
Like the Great Jagras is the perfect example, because that thing is like such a like nothing enemy.
Mm-hmm.
It's so it's such an irrelevant enemy at this point. Like the dudes who run around, the trash mobs that run around bigger monsters are more of a threat than that thing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So like early on they should just make that easier so that you aren't spending forever fighting it, and then like later on you can be in a situation where you're fighting the Tobi Kadashi and the Ajaneth at the same time. Like then you could get the sense of accomplishment if you accidentally kill the Tobi Kadashi. The problem is like the first couple, it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There needs to be a sweet spot between the little dinosaurs that they first send you to fight, which are trash mobs, and the Great Jagras, which kind of takes a while. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I agree that like your first couple of hunts could be easier.
That's just my perspective of someone who's first played. So I don't really intend to argue, because like this is just how I feel about playing a new Monster Hunter player. That's
understandable. One of the other things that I think you might not be realizing, I'm not trying to like start an argument about it, but I think you might not be realizing that you're just also better at fighting the things. Like even my first hunt, I've been playing this game for 20 years, and my first hunt on like Tobi Kadachi, I died twice, and it took me like 30-40 minutes to kill it. And that was using a weapon that I was really comfortable with.
I don't remember any strategies against the Great Jagras.
Well, there aren't necessarily, but you might have been like, this is your first time playing Monster Hunter, you might have accidentally or been like targeting its legs, and its legs don't take any damage. Whereas if you were hitting its head a lot, which you kind of just
I was using the insect glaive, and so I was above it most of the time. But
yeah, okay, well,
no, and like I'm not dumb. I know that if you attack the head and the tail, or mostly just the head, like it's gonna do more damage than the center mass usually.
Mm-hmm.
But like that, and yes, it is true probably that I am better at the game, having played it and having looked up guides to learn how to play the game. Like, yes, I acknowledge that, but at the same time, it's just that doesn't matter. That's sort of irrelevant. Like, because early on, you need to feel. There needs to be baby steps. Like, I feel like they jump from, or they make like the first monsters take too long, and it's not a matter of being difficult. It's a matter of just taking too long. Because especially when you're like trying to play with other people and stuff. I don't know. And that's probably like the biggest issue with Monster Hunter is you have to see the thing before you can group up, which seems ridiculous.
It was never like that in any other Monster Hunter game. I don't know why they decided to do that in this one.
It's probably maybe their reasoning was like they wanted to put more emphasis on the story and make it like give more reasoning for why you're here and why you're doing stuff.
But it wouldn't be hard to just let 4 hunters go on the same hunt and all complete their quest at the same time.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the sense of discovery that they want you to have, like,
I guess
finding monsters for the first time. But I don't really. The dumb thing is, like, seeing a cutscene doesn't add to that. All it does is make you like. It makes you less immersed, because then you're fiddling with like, okay, now I can SOS flare or drop out of the mission to join another mission or another friend's mission. Like, you have to think about the game at that point
Right.
instead of just fucking playing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That was a really like I'm surprised they haven't taken that out because that
is the biggest point against it for certain.
People have been complaining about that for months on the PS4 version. I don't understand how they didn't just like remove it by eventually for that version, and certainly by the time the PC came out. I feel like that's something that they should have changed because that's something everyone, even veteran Monster Hunter fans, complain about. So
well, veteran Monster Hunter fans complain about it because, okay, there have always been cutscenes for when you first see the monster, right? You go into like the area that the monster spawns in, and the Kezu's crawling out of the ceiling, and you're like, oh, what's this goop that's dropping down on me? And then you look up and it roars. But you could see that with 4 people. It would even render all 4 of you in the cutscene. Like, I just don't understand why they didn't do that in this one.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just seems bizarre to me. I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
Also, while we're on the, what I think we should probably do next is just get out all of the things that like aren't super good about this. Aside from the optimization, I feel like the porting was not a very good job.
Thel doesn't like the mouse and keyboard controls.
Well,
I agree.
The mouse and keyboard controls.
The mouse and keyboard controls would be fine if there wasn't so much mouse acceleration.
Yeah, it obviously like tries to emulate the motion of like a joystick on a thing, and like what it feels like to me is like I played like the entire tutorial using the mouse and keyboard, then realized this is a bad idea and I should not do it. Like moving the mouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
If like you move the mouse a little bit, it will like snap to a certain point. Like, it feels like there are a bunch of like squares where the center of your screen can be, and it like tries to move those like in between those squares to get like some semblance of being smooth, but it feels really, really, really bad.
I agree.
They basically just bound random like keys for the controller to random points on the keyboard that don't make much sense.
And on top of it, they don't separate multiple actions that are bound to one key.
Yeah.
So, like I don't know. There are instances
if
where
you change your main attack button, then that will also change the accept button.
Yeah, confirm. Yeah. So that's really annoying.
It's one of, and it's like for instance, there's a button, the button on the keyboard to, because what I do is I use like the heavy gun lance, the button on the keyboard to like bowgun, to aim down the sights, right, is C, which is the weirdest shit. Because of course, when I think of that, obviously I want to press the right click button, but right click is the B button. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. The problem is that if you wouldn't have your B button like. So think, what does B and Y do on the controllers for the heavy bowgun? What does B do?
What B does is nothing.
Those are attack buttons.
Yeah, those are attack.
Well,
buttons.
for any other weapon, those are attack.
For any other weapon, yeah, it does actually nothing.
What's your reload button?
Well, my reload button is Y. Actually, what B does do is it switches modes.
Right. It's like aiming mode?
No.
Okay.
Like it switches from like bullets that I have bought to like the special thing that my gun does.
Ah, okay. That's a little weird, yeah. Every other weapon in the game, I guess, besides heavy bowgun, has a B attack and a Y attack, and Y is the special attack.
Well, the normal bow, also all Y does is turn on and off your coding.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: left click is still shoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like on the controller, left click shoots like you would think that a video game would shoot with like the right trigger, and then the left trigger aims down the sights.
Right.
What does left click do? Does left click like works as a weapon for everything else? Like,
I'm sure it does. I don't know.
Is left click like the Y button for every other weapon?
What do you mean by left click? Are we talking about left trigger or right trigger?
No, left click on
Left
the
click
mouse.
on the mouse.
Yeah, but what does
it
that correspond to?
Y, I think.
No, because Y, if it corresponds to Y, then I would have to press Y every time I fired the gun, and I don't.
So right trigger then, probably, right?
Yeah.
Well, what does Y do when you're not aiming? It switches ammo?
Reloads my gun.
Reloads.
Well,
your gun.
okay.
Yeah,
It would
I don't know.
probably be like the main attack, right? Or
Yeah,
or the
that's what I
heavy
said.
attack
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because right trigger is also an attack. Right trigger, Y
yeah,
and
but-
B is an attack on most melee weapons.
But what I'm saying is that because the heavy bowgun sort of works different than like the rest of them, like on the keyboard controls when you're using like any other weapon, like left click would probably work as Y, whereas on the keyboard controls with the heavy bowgun, left click works as right trigger.
Not
Why didn't they just
necessarily.
fucking-
Not necessarily because on like if the longsword, for instance, your right trigger on the controller is your like charge attack.
It's your spirit
Yeah, your
combo.
spirit
right
attack.
trigger is like your special action button.
But Y is your bread and butter attack. So, and I'm
Yeah.
not convinced that right trigger, or I'm not convinced the left mouse click is your bread and butter attack. On
right.
like it's probably like F or something or E or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then I mean that would be.
Even worse.
I'm like complaining about the heavy bowgun being a pain in the ass to use, but that would be significantly worse for every other weapon.
Okay. If they wanted to do a good job with the mouse and keyboard controls, they should just they should have made a mouse and keyboard control set for each weapon.
Or something. Yeah.
Or something.
Instead, they just bound random buttons to like random buttons on the keyboard,
I think
or like
that-
whatever's
yeah.
closest to WASD. And they do the thing where you have to navigate the menus through like pressing W, A, S, and D, or like the arrow keys.
find
and that's like always the worst.
I find it a little odd that they spent that long on the port and didn't
Yeah.
address a lot of this stuff. Capcom's
Yeah,
usually
they-
pretty good. I don't understand.
Yeah, like Resident Evil 7 was like had a great PC port.
Yeah.
Even
I don't know.
even like Resident Evil 5 had a great PC port. So like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really strange to me.
I made a joke about they spent all that time putting Denuvo in it, like they did with Sonic Mania, and I think I might have been right.
They couldn't have spent 9 months putting Denuvo in it though. That's too
Yeah.
long.
So I don't know.
They had to have been doing other stuff. Like,
Well, they
setting
obviously
up-
have to
obviously
optimize
setting
for
up
multiple
servers
hardware
and
yeah.
configurations,
and
but
stuff.
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't
And
know.
also the way that servers and parties work in this game is weird as hell and kind of dumb.
Okay, so I got a terrible things to tell you guys that I learned today that you're not
Mhm.
gonna like because I was advocating for this when it first came out.
Uh-huh.
The server issues are directly tied to Steam's new friend UI.
Oh no.
That's what's causing the server issues.
Oh no.
So if you disable the Steam UI in your launch options when you launch the game, you won't have connectivity issues. You likely won't have connectivity issues.
I don't
I
know.
see.
That feels like that's like, is that something that that Capcom said, or is that speculation among
That's
users?
speculation among users because pretty much 95% of people who disable the Steam UI in the launch options, it's not in Steam settings, but you have to like set a launch option like minus Steam friend UI or something. If you disable that with the launch option, most people haven't been experiencing any connectivity issues.
Because it worked better for me as soon as we switched to when I switched off the big picture mode thing with the
Right.
controller.
Yeah.
So
It also
so I feel
to
like
me-
there's multiple different points of failure I think that this could be happening
Yeah.
at. So I'm not convinced that
one of the things that I've been experiencing is alt tabbing is a huge issue. Like when you alt tab, it's pretty likely to disconnect you.
Are you using borderless windowed or full
I
screen?
am not using borderless.
You
windowed,
should
I'm using full
actually
screen.
switch to borderless windowed then.
That's what people were telling me, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was having streaming issues when I was in borderless windowed mode.
Well, I don't know. I don't feel like I was having many connection issues. I feel like more often than not it was someone else in our group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like
But it
I
was
was
always a
doing
different
anything
person,
really
though.
different. But maybe it was just like, maybe my computer's better, and like I don't have any issues alt tabbing, so maybe it's like just a performance thing.
I never had it. I never had issues
I think
alt
borderless
tabbing.
windowed helps the alt tabbing.
Well, I only
issue because
recently
you're not
switched to
technical.
borderless windowed. Last night actually, I think is when I switched to borderless windowed.
Weird.
Borderless window doesn't work for me for some reason. It just makes it full screen too.
Well, it works. It just locks your mouse until you alt tab.
I mean, like, okay, for borderless window, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I put it in a lower resolution, it's still full screen. Like I set the screen resolution to lower.
Well,
Like it doesn't seem to actually do anything. Like it doesn't change anything. It's the weirdest shit.
I think
I
it's
think that if
not
you're changing the
actually
resolution, all it's doing is stretching it. So you shouldn't change the resolution if you're going to use borderless windowed. If you're going to use borderless windowed, you should just use your monitor resolution.
Yeah,
anyway.
and that's why I'm using regular window.
Right.
Right.
You're using windowed mode?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I can't change the resolution on borderless window. We just went over this.
I mean, why do you want it to be smaller than your full screen? That's what I'm asking.
Because I want the game to look pretty.
You can have the resolution scale down and still have it full screen, but
I can, I know, but it looks terrible.
Oh, you're saying it's not running properly if you have it at your full resolution.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well,
that seems an odd thing to do. I'd rather it look worse, but that's just me.
We have spent that. Yeah, that's fine. We have spent a lot of time kind of on the negatives of this game, but
I didn't even get to the negative thing I was going to say about the party system.
Oh, what was that?
We end up talking about the servers.
Right.
The party system in Dauntless, that's the one thing Dauntless does better than this game. If you want to be in a party with people, you go into your friends list and you add them to a party. And then if you start a hunt with them, then you all like start in the party with the hunt. But this game uses like mini servers, so you all have to join the mini server, and then you have to
just in a lobby.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It uses like these. It uses a weird lobby system, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to join a lobby, right? And then join a party within a lobby for one mission, and you have to remake the party every mission. Which, you know, is probably because of the fact that, like, if you're doing story missions, people can't join on them because of the cutscenes, and it's more of a problem.
It's always worked like that.
Oh, it's always worked like that?
It has nothing to do with the story thing.
Oh.
The difference in this game is that the lobbies are 16 people. Before, you just had a lobby of 4 people, and everybody could accept the quest.
Right.
So it worked essentially the same. It's just that lobbies were 4 people. So I think the difference is more in a feeling. It feels, because when you were in a lobby with only 4 people available, it felt like you were in the party the whole time. Everybody just had to accept the quest. With a larger server, like, it still works functionally the same. One person posts a quest, and then everybody else goes to the board and accepts the quest. It's just,
well, I just wish it didn't do that.
People.
Yeah. I wish it didn't do that.
Okay, well, if you're in,
it should just be like, okay, so guys, I'm setting up this quest. All right, one person presses the button on the quest, and everyone's like, a thing pops up. Hey, quest. Do yes, no, yes, okay. It sends you out. It feels like this
or just automatically
roundabout
or
way
just
to
automatically
deal with
adds
shit.
you to the departure window, and you can either leave the party at that point or get ready.
But like, you have to accept the quest, and there's still a departure window.
Yeah.
What if you need to prepare, or what if you need to...
There's a departure window that says preparing.
If you were in the party, it just automatically adds you to the departure window, and then you can prepare or whatever, and then click ready. Like, there's no reason to have you go to the board.
Have to go to the board, go down to, like, the specific quest, select the specific quest, and then do all of that stuff. Because, like, then you're put into, like, the departure window, and it says preparing, and then you have to select ready to go. It's, like, a bunch of needless bullshit.
Yeah. And that's just like because they're transitioning from older versions.
Yeah, like
this
the 3DS.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like It's something
it's a
they should
weird
have
layover
redesigned
thing.
but didn't think about, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really feel like it's that bad, but I guess I'm just used to it too.
Yeah, I
so.
mean, it's kind of worse than a lot of party
It takes
systems.
like an extra like 4 seconds to go and click on the board compared to just
A lot
being
more than 4
programmed.
It
seconds,
does not
especially
take more than 4 seconds.
like it would be really nice if it would just automatically put me in the departure window while I'm like forging equipment, because then I could just, as soon as I'm done, hit ready or whatever. Like having to like fast travel to the board, because a lot of times I'm not like near the board, and like I don't know, like depend. Like for instance, like I always go to the workshop one so that I'm closest to the board. I don't know.
I feel like you guys are going to be mad at me if I tell you this now.
Yeah. Go on.
There's a place in the town called the Gathering Hub, which has everything in one small area.
It doesn't have the workshop.
Yeah, it doesn't have the workshop.
I'm pretty sure it has. I'm pretty sure it has a blacksmith. I'm like 95% sure it has a blacksmith.
You should. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
I think
I never go to the Gathering
We'll have
Hub.
to look at it later. The Gathering Hub is also the place that you can see all of the people who are in your server if they're also in the Gathering Hub.
But even still, that's
you
like
can arm wrestle.
That's like a tiny like baby. It's not like a fix for the problem. It's like a we made it slightly less of a pain in the ass to run from the armory to the board when it should just be a simple party system, like literally everything else is.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah.
The other thing Dauntless did better was mouse and keyboard controls, but that's...
Oh, yeah, mouse and
But
keyboard
that's
and
because it
Dauntless
was-
feel fucking
Yeah, but
great.
That's because it was designed primarily.
Designed for the
Right.
PC, yeah.
But that's just... Well, it also had controller controls that worked fine too, though. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Dalsson played with the controller.
I mean, they're
I
Capcom. They're
didn't
Capcom and a
actually. I
huge
liked
developer.
that.
They should fucking be able to make mouse and keyboard
They should be able
controls.
to deal with this.
But
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that? I'm harping on negative things because those are all the things you notice when you're a first-time player.
Yeah, they're easy.
Yeah.
They're much easier to talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing is overall though, the game is fun, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
Hunting monsters
Like,
is fun.
Yeah,
Let
hunting
me-
monsters is fun.
Let me talk about some of the things that they've
Later on,
done
it's
as
fun.
Yeah.
changes and what I see as improvements to the series, like even compared to like the previous game.
Okay.
For pretty much every single weapon in the game, they have added some sort of new type of move. Like, for example, the Great Sword can now shoulder bash into an attack, and it'll give you hyper armor so that you don't get knocked away and lose your charge level. The Hunting Horn can now queue up songs. Before, with the Hunting Horn, you had to play one song, and if you accidentally played another note, then that song was gone. But it can queue up songs now so that you can have like a playlist of songs to play.
Yeah, but it's still hard not to fuck up on them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The bow gets that new Dragon Piercer attack, which is just a charged up thing. The gun lance can shoot a drill into the monster that then explodes. So every weapon has like at least one new ability that's just really cool. Another big improvement, I think, is the way that you can track down monsters. Before, you just kind of had to know where about the monster was and then when you saw it, you'd have to take out a fucking paintball and throw the paintball at the monster to mark it on your map. And if the paintball wore off while it was flying around going on a world tour, then you're fucked. You don't know where it is and you have to track it down again. Now, you just kind of have to find footprints and little traces of the monster, and your little bug flies will fly towards the monster and lead you on a path to it, which is really a lot better than having to remember to bring a paintball.
It's a lot better, but I still feel like there are points in time where it's still not great. Because you're like, if you're in the wrong area in general, then there's no footprints either. So you're just wandering around.
True. But that leads me into another point, in that the more that you fight a monster, the more research you will get on it. Eventually, once you are at level like 3 or 4 of your research, it'll like point you towards the nearest track so that you can pick up the trail easier, like automatically, which is really good.
Well, that takes a long time to get to that point, and it's probably you probably won't even get to that until you're in high rank and have to fight the same monster multiple times to get one like rare drop.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that like I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah,
I hate rare loot tables, but that's just that's a separate problem entirely.
Yeah,
and that's not even necessarily a problem specifically with Monster Hunter. But yeah, the game is fun. All of the weapons have like a ton of variety and are fun to play in their own special ways. And this might I don't know if might be something that's just changed from the other Monster Hunters, but none of them like feel super useless. They all have their own stuff. Like Dalsson, what you were talking about was like how like the light bow gun at one point was nothing but like a support weapon. And I didn't play it for a while, and then I like last night with Megan, I was playing a bunch of it. I was like, you know what? Why don't I just try out the light bow gun, because like, fuck it, I'm already using the heavy bow gun, and it's just like a faster reloading but less chambered bullets version of the heavy bow gun with like the same ammo types, except they can't use the bigger ammo types.
Yeah, from what I've heard, all of the weapons are a lot better balanced against each other now. Even the ones that people consider worse.
Yeah, because like the reason I didn't play it is because you told me it was bad, and then I played it. I was like, no, it's not. It's fine. It works great.
I thought you tried out that light bow gun at first, and then you were like, I'm gonna try the heavy bow gun instead.
I had the light bow gun equipped, but then I realized it wasn't the light bow gun; it was the heavy bow gun. I thought it was the heavy bow gun.
Yeah.
And then I unequipped it and then re-equipped the heavy bow gun because that's what I actually wanted to use.
Yeah. Another thing that is still kind of preserved across like from older games is that sometimes the type of weapon that you make won't be super useful. For example, I have always used a poisoned greatsword, which is bad. It's just straight up bad. It's not good to use poison on your greatsword because it's not going to stack up the poison fast enough. You need poison on a fast weapon to stack up poison and poison the thing. But so you might just be using, sometimes like your weapon will feel ineffective. You might just be using a weapon that is not good for the type of thing you want to do, right? Like it's not good for the type of damage you're trying to deal.
Feels like most of the heavier weapons or slower weapons are supposed to use the impact version of it.
Yeah. The well, sometimes there aren't impact versions, but like they're heavier and slower weapons are generally meant to use elemental damage or just straight raw damage instead of elemental.
Wait, heavier and say that again?
Okay, so something like the greatsword. On the greatsword, what you want is just the highest raw damage you can. Not elemental, not status, just the highest possible raw damage. Whereas something like the hammer, there are certain moves on the hammer that can hit pretty often, and you might inflict more elemental damage, or you might be able to stack up like your sleep real fast.
Okay.
Even though it's heavy and slow. So it's very dependent on the specific type of weapon, not just the speed of it.
Well, supposedly I heard that the impact charge blade is supposed to be the best version of that weapon, but
it is, and the reason that it is because you can get an instant guaranteed KO on the monster every time it's paralyzed. You use like its super extra super move, and it's guaranteed to KO anything. So,
all right, well,
that's why it's the best.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I like that there's a large variety of weapons. I just had trouble finding any that I enjoyed playing at first. And again, a lot of it was just until I like started looking up guides and stuff. Which is just annoying to me, but I don't know, but at the same time, it's kind of funny, like the weapons that I was least interested in using are probably the ones I'm using the most now.
Yeah. Megan and I think spent like 10 minutes trying to talk you into the bow, and then you were like, I'm not going to use the bow. I don't want to use it. And then on the very next quest, you came in with a bow.
Well, I used it because you were telling me to try it, not because I necessarily wanted to use it.
Right. But now as far as I can tell, you like the bow.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
okay.
everyone was telling me not to use the heavy bow gun. So of course I decided to use the heavy bow gun.
I don't know. Even now, like I'm not. Well, the weapon I actually want to use is the weapon that Megan uses almost exclusively. So I just don't use it because she only uses that weapon.
Yeah.
And
you know,
and I also use the longsword because at least that's one that no one's really that interested in, and it's not super complicated.
right.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I'm an advocate for bringing a variety of weapons because each weapon fills a different niche. Each weapon can do different things. So having multiple weapons on the same team, it's like, okay, it could be funny or memey or whatever, but I would rather have like different weapons. But as far as
take me and Apple down on hunts, we both
as far
taken out
as
the heavy bow guns. You're gonna
that's
have to
the-
fucking run from the explosions,
that's the thing.
motherfucker.
That's the thing that I'm trying to say, though. Some weapons are better suited to have multiple of the same ones than others because, like, with the bow gun, you can use different types of ammo, and with the insect glaive, your kinsect can be so vastly different that it might change the way that it plays. So I don't know. That said, I wouldn't want to use the same weapon as somebody else either.
I barely want to use the bow when Thel's using the heavy bow gun. When Thel's using the heavy bow gun, most of the time I try to take longsword.
Right.
But-
That probably works out better because it gives more melee targets to keep them off of Thel.
Right. And that's the same thing for me. Like, I don't want... If Thel and I are both ranged, then he fucks on me too. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah.
So I'm mainly using the longsword and the and this bow. I actively don't like the sword and shield because I find it boring.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into the charge blade. I know that it's the most complex weapon, but it's one of the more interesting weapons to me. Although I think I need to play Monster Hunter more before I can really effectively use that weapon because there's like guard points and there's like
I still don't understand guard points.
I understand it. It's just like what you have to do is if you use a version of so it's like some of the combos on that weapon automatically have your shield in front of you.
Okay.
If it hits you while your shield happens to be in front of you, then it's a guard point and it does bonus damage or something. It does bonus something.
Yeah. It'll discharge your files, I think.
I don't think it does that because I think it might charge your file. I don't know what exactly it does, but
when you put the files into the shield, it will deal file damage when you block with it. So
maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that weapon has so many moving parts. I need to get a better handle on the game mechanics first,
right?
Before I can really effectively use that. But I understand the basics of that weapon. I just need to know the monsters better at this point, and not necessarily like specifically a monster in order to use it effectively against that monster, but I mean like how monsters in general act.
Right.
And I actively don't use the greatsword because you use it.
Right.
And like it's your favorite weapon, and I don't know that you would do this, but I worry that if I took the greatsword, you would just be telling me what I'm doing wrong. And I hate that. I hate that more than anything.
The only thing you could possibly do wrong on the greatsword is hold your charge for too long. That's it. That's literally the only thing you can do wrong. You have to let go of your charge once it glows the third time, or else your charge.
But I mean, there's things that you won't even like. I don't know if I'm positioning wrong. You might criticize. Like there's lots of things that you could probably criticize me about, and I just don't even want to go there. That's that's also part of the reason I don't even want to be using the insect glaive around Megan for the same reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just like that is one of the things that bothers me more than anything else when playing video games. Or I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So I'd rather be totally worthless as a weapon you don't know than
then use a weapon and have me give you pointers on it.
Yeah, that's why I did a lot of playing on my own too.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You could try the greatsword.
I'm just not going to. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's
Fair
nothing you
enough.
can say. I'm not going to. Even the insect glaive, I'm not going to use it around Megan. If I'm going to use that weapon, I'm just going to be on my own when I'm just fucking around.
Yeah. And that's why, and that's one of the reasons I decided to use like the bow guns.
Because nobody knows how to fucking use the bow guns.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how to use the bow guns.
Right.
Neither does Appledan. I've seen him use a bow gun. He has no idea what he's doing.
Oh, wait, he just started too.
He played Monster Hunter like 3 or 4.
Oh yeah,
other
that's
Monster
right.
Hunter
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Always used the bow gun, and it
Okay.
annoyed me because I was like, he's not doing anything.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. There's the other weapons that I'm like sort of interested in, but I know that are really slow, and that's annoying.
Yeah. The slow weapons have a higher skill floor, but tend to have a lower skill ceiling. The charge blade is like the hardest fucking weapon in the game to use.
Yeah.
I used it for like a hunt yesterday, and I was like, what in the fuck am I doing? Okay, wait, I charged my shield. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to keep the files. No, hold on. It's like, no, wait, okay, wait. I want to swing my axe. No, I don't want to swing my axe. My sword. That's what I want to use. And I'm like, what am I doing?
That one just transforms on its own in normal combos sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I looked up a guide for that. And the combo that you're supposed to use mostly is just the circle triangle kind of over and over again.
Yeah.
But then you have to also like manage your files and shit. I don't know. So I think that weapon's interesting. I just need more time. But like things like the switch axe is kind of interesting to me, but that one is kind of slow, and the lance is sort of always kind of interesting, but that one's pretty slow.
The lance is really slow because with the lance you're supposed to be guarding everything.
Yeah.
And that's where the guard points really
even
come
when
in
you're not
weapon.
guarding though, you're also just going boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. The lance I think has a charge now. They added that in Monster Hunter 4. Like you can just put down your lance and charge. It's fucking incredible.
And I know that other like and certain weapons, like the more that the weapon transforms when you're fighting with it, the more the longer it takes to sheath.
Yeah.
So like the switch axe and the charge blade take forever to put away.
Yeah, they do.
And that's really annoying. The longsword is super. You know what kept happening to me though, Dalsson? Every time I was thinking about trying a weapon, you were like, "I'm going to use this weapon now."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh god.
So I was like initially I didn't want to use the switch axe because you had said that you wanted to use the switch axe. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to use that one.
I kind of forgot because I said that like when it released on PS4.
Yeah. Then later on, it was like, there's another useless bit of information that I just happen to remember, I guess. Then later it's like, okay, nobody's using the longsword, so I'll use the longsword. And like I swear, the same mission, you're like, hey, I'm gonna try the longsword if that's okay. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'll put the bow on. So it was a lot of that. I don't know why or what was happening, but it seems like you were changing weapons as fast as I was, and it was kind of frustrating.
You should have just said, hey, I want to use the longsword, and I've been like, okay, I'll pull out my hunting horn.
That was another one that I was
one weapon.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and that's how I avoid this. I use the gun.
Well, because
I shoot at monsters with a machine gun, and it's fun, and I love it.
I was wanting to. The thing is, I wanted to try a weapon and get a feel for what I liked, like which weapon I liked. So I tried a bunch of different weapons. The only problem was, I knew so little about each of the weapons that every time I tried a new weapon, I didn't understand how the weapon worked. So it just made me not like that weapon. And I went through basically all of the weapons, not knowing what to do. The only one I understood was the bow. Right off the bat.
See, one of the reasons that I think I wound up liking Monster Hunter so much was because I took the exact opposite approach. I was like, this this is the biggest fucking sword I can find, and I want to hit things with it.
Well,
And so I just used the great sword for 5 games.
well, because I knew that you were like in Monster Hunter, you're supposed to kind of pick a weapon and then get good at it. So
Right.
I didn't want to invest a lot of time in any single weapon until I found one that I liked. And because I
Right.
switched weapons so much, I couldn't find one that I liked.
Right.
And it wasn't until I started looking up guides that I was like, oh, so in Monster Hunter, the simplest combo sometimes is just the best one.
Right,
Which
exactly.
is not kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Because usually, like when it comes
a
to
lot of
combos,
times the
usually you
more-
want to like cancel shit and stuff all over the
Yeah.
place. So
Yeah.
A lot of times the more complicated combos are decent when you have something that's holding the monster still. But when it's like running around, you gotta just do whatever you have time for, you know?
right.
Yeah.
Why don't we go to a break and then when we come back we'll hit
Sure.
the news? Because actually we're running a little late.
Yeah.
And-
I knew we were gonna talk about Monster Hunter for a long time, and I'm not sure I even got out everything I wanted to say, but I don't have time to
Well,
think
we
of
could
it,
just
so-
talk about Monster Hunter the whole time. I'm
We
fine with
could.
that.
We have a ton of news, though.
That
We
is
do
true.
have a ton of
Way
news,
more
so
than
we should
usual.
Go through that.
Yeah, weirdly more than usual.
But I do want to go to a break because I'm getting a phone call multiple times.
Okay,
so
so let's
Yeah.
do that.
Okie dokie.
So why don't we come back at 5:30? It's kind of
Sounds good.
that's almost 15 minutes, but
Sounds good.
But if you got a phone call to
Yeah.
make, fuck it. Yeah, go ahead.
all right. And we're back. We came back a couple minutes early because I took care of
why
what I
not?
needed to take care of. So for the last 30 to 45 minutes, we're gonna talk about movie news or movie and game news. We'll might go over though because there's kind of a lot, and we talked about Monster
Yeah.
Hunter a lot.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about Monster Hunter some more tomorrow or next week. So you know,
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
we're probably just gonna keep playing that, really.
Yeah.
I'm
But now
excited
we
for
have
these
the other
assholes to
things
get
to
into
talk
high rank.
about.
the nice thing
A
about
bunch of stuff that I'm excited about.
the nice thing about Monster Hunter 2 is it's a really good backup game in
Mhm.
that like it's so kind of long term that you can kind of just be like, hey, let's just randomly it's like, hey, let's go do a thing here. And
Let's
it's
go kill Pink
it's like a
Raytheon
cooperative
again.
game that has kind of the same thing as why we play nothing but competitive games all the time. It's like
Yeah.
Quake Champions. It's something
Oh,
that
fuck
we
it,
can
let's
just
go
jump
play
into.
Quake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy. You just go and be like, even with the matchmaking or not the matchmaking, the server, the way that you get into
Yeah.
quests that you guys were complaining about, it's still quick enough that it's like
It's not like
We're
it's
gonna do
slow.
that,
It's just
yeah.
annoying.
It's just annoying. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It's easy to jump into. It's great.
But anyway, we're gonna talk about some movie news.
The movie news starting out. So, continuing the news of the James Gunn getting booted off of Guardians of the Galaxy, Dave Bautista threatened to leave.
Batista,
Batista, sorry,
The
yeah, like the
the
Batista model.
wrestler.
Yeah.
Batista, the wrestler.
Can't spell
Yeah.
issues right now. Issue. God damn it. I'm just gonna say James Gunn controversy.
Yeah, works. Fuck it. That'll bring in more views anyway. Dave Bautista is entirely ready to drop the he's ready to drop the project and leaving no one playing Drax unless James Gunn comes back and Disney unfires him.
Actually, it wasn't that. It was more that he said if they change James Gunn's script.
Mm.
So if they altered the script that they had been working on, then he would leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although he would very much like for him to come back. I think that his issue is that he really doesn't want them to
Since-
take his
yeah.
work away from him either. So
Yeah.
Since since we posted this article, it's also the rest of them have all come out and said like I don't think
Yeah.
they said such drastic things.
No,
like,
this-
I'm going
this
to leave
comes
the
after
project,
that.
But...
This
Really?
comes
Yeah.
after that letter. The
Really?
other
Oh,
letter was
okay.
kind of saying we all support James Gunn. We think he's good. We think this is bullshit. But Dave
Mhm.
Bautista was like the first one to be,
Like,
like
threatened to quit.
outwardly supporting James Gunn and like very like immediately defending him.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, if you change his work, I'm going to quit.
And then the difference here is essentially he's saying he's going to try to renegotiate his contract if they change the script. Is essentially what he's saying.
And I feel like if Dave Bautista like leaves Disney or the Marvel movies, I think he's got a career ahead of him. He's a fine actor. He was great in Blade Runner.
He's a really good actor.
3 seconds he was in it.
Yeah, you know what else he was great in? WWE. That's nothing but acting.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, here.
That's what people.
I'm gonna read some quotes from him real quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's defending his tweets, but this was a smear campaign on a good man. I spoke to Chris Pratt the day after it happened, and he's a bit religious, so wanted to time to pray and figure it out. But I was more like, fuck this. This is bullshit. James is one of the kindest, most decent people I've ever met. He also tweeted that it's pretty nauseating to work for someone who would empower a smear campaign by fascists. And he would, like, it seems unlikely, though, that Disney's going to change their mind. So
yeah, because Disney holds to their decisions, even though if they're they might not be the best decision.
Well, it's like,
cinematic universe.
Well, it's like, okay, what's Disney gonna do if Dave Bautista quits? Like, what? Like, they're gonna find somebody else. Yeah, like they're Disney. It's not like they're going to lose a ton of money because Dave Bautista quit a movie.
Yeah,
it's not like they're gonna lose a ton of money if
they might.
Anybody quits a movie.
I don't know though. Like I think if it were anything but Guardians of the Galaxy, which is an ensemble cast in the first place, this might have been a bigger problem than it is.
Yeah,
but like it would take like several of them threatening to renegotiate contracts because they're all under contract to do another Guardians of the Galaxy movie. They can't get out of it unless they renegotiate their contract or mutually decide to break it. So he's kind of in it, but he can just be a bad actor and waste time.
Remember what happened with Blade Runner, speaking of?
Yeah.
Like, just because...
You can just do a terrible voiceover. Yeah, sushi.
I mean, that I don't know that,
like a cold fish.
Like, the thing is, you never really want to force people to act because if you're forcing people to act, then you're going to get a very bad performance. And Marvel's level of quality, while inconsistent at times, generally is at the baseline has decent acting. So they don't want to like hurt their brand by forcing Bautista. So they would have to, like, it would be in Disney's best interest if he was really going to be trying to renegotiate and stuff to just recast him or something or cut him out. But that means heavily rewriting the script. But ideally, Disney just keeps the script because it's already done. Like, they already have it. They might as well keep it.
Why pour more money into writing a new script?
So this is kind of
why pour more money into writing a new script and then hiring a new director and making an entirely new thing?
Yeah.
Disney.
But, you know, at the same time, if anyone could do it, it would be Marvel, I guess.
True.
At this point.
Yeah.
And
Kevin Feige hasn't like fucked up as like spectacularly as like what's her name? The lady who is also the producer in Indiana Jones. With the suit that George Lucas hated, which now has his baby. Never take THX from you, Georgie. We'll never take THX 1338. One of them. It was a number.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, and the more I've thought about this, the more I think the James Gunn incident in particular is bullshit. Apparently there was news about shit going on with Chris Hardwick too now.
Like saying that James Gunn's thing was a smear campaign is like totally accurate. It was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like they were smearing him because like it was a smear campaign because of his opinion that he posted on Twitter, like about politics. And it's like don't fucking talk about politics on Twitter because that shit is gonna happen to you, but also like
of course.
Well, I was like, I don't know.
Although
I don't know, he felt safe because he was on the side that everybody's, you know,
pretty much been on,
but like
except for this one jack off.
Well, I don't know, like I think he said something negative about Trump which is common on Twitter right now. So
Yeah.
he felt safe doing it. But the problem is there's like a significant people on Twitter who are just as fucking crazy as crazy people on every side. So it's like,
and that was the thing. It's like bringing up stuff. They brought up stuff about the guy who posted the stuff about
probably
James Gunn's things, and he's like super far alt-right to the point where it's like people are like, oh, he's a fascist. He's kind of very literally a fascist. He's like actually
I don't know if it was any one person or whatever. Like, I don't know. I didn't look into it enough, but like this is probably like people mad about the way that Disney treated the Roseanne situation, that they were like, well, if you're gonna do it on one side, then let's try to force them to do it on the other side too. That was explicitly what it was. Yeah, like it's just like this eye for an eye shit is stupid. Regardless of how you feel about what happened with Roseanne, or what you feel about what happened with James Gunn, or different almost trivial things happening with the Me Too movement right now. It's like, I don't know. People are starting to just stab each other over everything, and it's getting old.
Yeah.
Not to, trivialize any of these, situations, but it's like any reasonable ones. But when people are claiming dumb as shit against each other, it's getting bad.
Just for the sake of it, exactly. It's not
Anyway, let's move on to less controversial news. One Punch Man.
One Punch Man gets a season 2 trailer, and everyone is excited.
Yeah, because One Punch Man is fucking phenomenal.
I thought it was pretty good.
I want to tell a quick story about One Punch Man when I watched it with Thel, right? So in the first episode of One Punch Man, it kind of like it does this thing where he like just starts kind of like fighting a whole bunch of people, and he's like, yes, this is what I live for. This is the combat. This is the thrill that I'm finally getting. And like it's just this normal shonen anime. He's jumping around and fighting dudes who are like on his level. And Thel, like, I could tell at that moment, Thel just totally checked out. He was like, oh God, is Dalsson really gonna make me watch this whole thing? And then seconds later, he wakes up, and the thing that he was dreaming about pops out, and he obliterates it in one hit. And Thel was like, okay, that got me. That grabbed me. That's how it did it.
No, what happened was at the entire thing, I thought that because I knew a little bit about One Punch Man, I thought this wasn't going to be about him. And then when he did kill him in one hit, I was like, oh no, that was actually his origin story. I thought they were going to throw me for a fun loop. It was just boring.
Oh,
instead.
okay.
But it picked up a little bit. I felt like it sort of like the first.
No, I'm talking about the mole people. It was like the very beginning of the.
Yeah. And I was about to say at the end, like in the beginning, like the first like after episode 1 and like the next couple episodes were really fun, and then it sort of went a little bit into like full-on shonen anime near the end when the spaceship showed up, and I was kind of checking out then. But most of the season was pretty good.
How do you like My Hero Academia though?
I like it much better than One Punch Man.
Yeah, I
kind
agree.
of odd because that seems almost even more of a super.
Yeah,
it
definitely is, but the way that it handles itself,
is I feel like it takes shonen and whereas One Punch Man tries to do a lot of parody of shonen and then sometimes falls into just the trappings of regular. What My Hero Academia does is it takes like all of the regular stuff and just sort of elevates it a little bit and just like makes it good.
I think even like the ending of One Punch Man where the Space Invader showed up, like it's still like the other characters are all there, and like that's the whole thing about One Punch Man. The whole world is a regular shonen anime, and One Punch Man himself, that just Saitama is the parody of it. Yeah, everything else is perfectly normal.
Honestly,
the way it plays it so straight can kind of help.
It feels like One Punch Man could just be in My Hero Academia.
Oh, he absolutely could.
Because the whole setting seems to be
the setting is like almost identical.
Yeah.
Did you watch all of One Punch Man, Saine?
I've seen one episode of One Punch Man.
Okay, well,
so I've not watched hardly any of it.
It's still enough that like
I know the basis of it.
Hero with the hero rankings and shit. Like it's all like almost exactly the same. I swear.
Yeah, I watched one episode like halfway through the first season where he's talking about joining the hero system or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking about, because what I've been doing is when I edit the podcast, because I have to wait for it to render and upload, I've been watching My Hero Academia as it comes out. Although I almost don't want to anymore, just because it's like you have to watch.
It has hit a slump,
you have to watch several. It's not that. It's like you have to watch several episodes for anything to happen. It is like really bad about having really long opening, really long ending. I completely
disagree. That's one of the things I like about My Hero Academia is a lot of stuff is finished in like 2 episodes.
Like things within the episode, they always resolve a conflict within their episode. It's not the big.
I don't agree with that at all. Like, take what's happening now, because right now they're fighting in that tournament thing, or in the whatever. Like,
honestly, the tournament is a little bit like the worst it's been. I was talking like in the forest specifically. That was solved in like 3 episodes, and had like 15 character fights. Like it's even like the middle.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like,
even then, they're jumping around between so many different characters all at once that, like, with the forest thing, I would have rather watched 3 or 4 episodes in one go, because then it would be like, okay, you have this part of Deku's fight, this part of these 2 characters, this part of Deku's fight again, and these 2 so it like. If you watch multiple episodes at once, then you get all of it, because they're jumping around to so many different characters, it's like, okay, this part is about maybe a third of what Deku's doing, and then like a third of what this other character's doing. So you have to, like, I feel like things don't drag on a long time the same way that they do in Dragon Ball, but they jump back and forth so much that, like, I don't feel like I'm getting a satisfying amount of any particular piece because they're jumping around so much.
Right. See, for me, like I watch One Piece, and One Piece is like, it's not the worst about that. I would say that Dragon Ball Z specifically is the worst about that.
Oh, Dragon Ball Z Super actually hasn't been that bad, which is weird.
but Dragon Ball Z, like the original,
the original one,
yeah, like they would have episodes where they literally just stare at each other to fill time. So One Piece isn't that bad, but you know, it has like almost 1,000 episodes now. There's gonna be some episodes where there's nothing going on, so maybe it's just colored by the fact that I've kept up with One Piece,
and like I
My Hero Academia, with I feel like things get resolved fast enough, and they resolve within the episode. The stuff they do is sufficient to like build hype, like, oh god, I'm so ready for next
that's the thing. The whole show is like hype as shit, and that's why I do watch an episode every week. It's like the only anime I keep up with, or like, or even any show. Like, the only other thing I've kept up with as much was Star Versus. But so I don't know. Like, I almost wish they would like stare and talk to each other more, like, instead of having such a long opening, because I don't know. The show is of such a high quality that I want more of it, and the problem is a lot of it is
in like the opening.
A lot of it is just feels like wasted time to me. Like, even when it comes down to like they every episode they have their commercial break, and they pull up the like title card or the like stat cards for characters. You know, that's kind of cool, but like that also just feels like filler time.
That's a really common thing for anime. They do that in like everything.
Well, sure, but I feel like the way that I feel like My Hero Academia is especially bad about having a really long opening. Like, I feel like the opening the opening chunk of it is almost a third of the episode. And I don't feel like it's quite that bad in other ones, though I do agree that it is a common thing with and I think probably the only reason is because like budgetary concerns, because they do have such high quality action so often that they just are cutting it down as much as possible, so they only have to animate like smaller amounts. But even then, like, I enjoy when Deku is sitting there you know, theorizing about how to defeat his enemies and stuff. Like, I like that aspect of that character. So I wish they would do stuff like that a bit more, just to give me more.
To slow it down a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. But
like sometimes it does need to slow down, and sometimes it does slow down, but
but you know, at the same time, I don't want to sit here and like micromanage how they should be doing their show because like at the same time they know better than I do, and maybe the way that it's set up is why it's as good as it is, but I don't know.
Yeah. Now that said, back to the original topic, One Punch Man, I say, is definitely worth watching. I mean, like, as of right now, it's only, 13 episodes?
Oh,
anyway?
Yeah, it's on my short list. That and Mob Psycho are things that I've been planning to watch. So, actually, I was thinking about I've actually been considering picking up One Punch Man for kind of a while as something to spend more time with while I'm waiting for the podcast to render and stuff. What I've been doing is catching up on Dragon Ball Z Super, which has been really good. Like surprisingly good. But you know, I watched the sub version of that, so actually that one's like only coming out weekly too. So it like works. Or no, I'm watching the dub version of that because I can't stand Goku's voice actor in Japanese.
Yeah, that's fair. The first time
Trunks.
I ever heard
Trunks
Goku
sounds awful in Japanese.
The first time I ever heard any of the Japanese voices for Dragon Ball characters was in a crossover episode of One Piece, and I was like, what in the fuck? I thought Luffy's voice was high-pitched and terrible, but I'm like, okay, well, Luffy's supposed to sound like a monkey because his name is Monkey, haha, that's whatever, and I got used to it. But then I heard Goku, and I'm like, wow, Luffy sounds manly.
Anyway, let's continue with the news.
Yeah. Next,
in
Chris
conclusion
Pine,
to One Punch Man anime.
Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth reportedly leave Star Trek 4. He's laughing because instead of a picture of Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth, it's a picture of Chris Pratt and Chris Evans.
Labeled as Chris Pine.
And Chris Hemsworth. If you didn't know, Chris Pine's the guy who plays Kirk in the new Star Trek movies, and this is bad because they don't have a Kirk. But these movies should have ended.
The last one was probably the best one.
Oh yeah, the last one was absolutely the best one because they let them do whatever the fuck they wanted.
Actually, I think I liked the first one too, though. The first one was pretty good. The second one was definitely the low point, though. I think everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know.
Yep.
I want more Star Trek, but I don't need J.J. Abrams Star Trek. No offense to J.J. Abrams. I think J.J. Abrams is fine. I just don't think Star Trek is really what I want more him to be doing.
I want more Next Generation and Deep Space Nine. That's what I want more of, and I think that's what a lot of people want more of.
The thing about J.J. Abrams is the more time he spends like being in the spotlight and doing like his own thing with all of these big things, the more time I think, I kind of hate his philosophy of how movies are supposed to be made, because he's a very, very very specific philosophy, which sort of shined through Lost, where it was let the fans sort of create what it is and what it becomes. And that leads to stories that are unconnected and have terrible endings because you didn't fucking write one. You started a mystery, but you didn't have. You started a who done it. I thought that was David
Lindelof's issue, not J.J. Abrams.
No, that they've been working together forever, and that's both of their issue. That's the thing. The more it has come to light, especially with the recent Star Wars
J.J. Abrams
stuff.
is a director. He's more about look and feel, not writing.
Well, here's the thing. It was the thing with like the Star Wars thing. That's what I was getting to. The reason that a lot of people are really disappointed about what was going on with Snoke and what was going on with Rey, because like it turns out like she isn't actually related to anything, even though it was kind of set up in the previous movie that she might have been.
No, I think that the fans are wrong.
There were specific scenes like,
because people wanted Rey to be something, and then when they weren't, everyone was disappointed. I don't think that.
The point is that J.J. Abrams had no plan. He had no idea. He let him do whatever the fuck he wanted because he didn't he set up a bunch of things and then did not have a payoff plan for it.
I don't think that
He
was
wanted it
Abrams'
to
fault.
go, like-
I don't think that was Abrams' fault, because he's about look and feel. He's not about the writing, and the writing is, like, different.
I'm pretty sure he helped write. Oh, it was also Lawrence Kasdan. Lawrence Kasdan also. Yeah,
He was only he was a producer of Star Wars, but I don't know. Like I think there are bigger people to blame than J.J. Abrams from what happened with Force Awakenings, especially since The Force Awakening was good.
Yeah.
I think that like David Lindelof is a much better person to blame than J.J. Abrams, and I think J.J. Abrams has been.
Sure.
Well, yeah, Damon Lindelof didn't write any of the Star Wars movies.
Well, yeah, but I don't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think The Force Awakening was bad.
Oh, yeah, I don't think The Force Awakens was bad. I like The Force Awakens because it actually because of the fact that it moved away from some of the Abrams stuff. But yeah, the more that it goes
Force
on,
Awakening was the one, or Force Awakens was the one that Abrams did. The other one, The Last Jedi, was a different one, and really,
The Force Awakens was like.
See, and that's another thing where I think the fans were wrong with The Last Jedi too. The Last Jedi was a really good Star Wars movie. The only problem is people wanted a bunch of stuff from Force Awakening. So if anything, it was the opposite. It was that the person who was in charge of the Last Jedi didn't make good on things in the first one. But we still have a third film in the trilogy, so there's still room for a lot of that stuff to like work its way out.
There's room to like rewrite everything, which is I hate that. I hate it when people set up a story to not.
You haven't seen the script.
I wouldn't say it's rewriting it.
Well, no. I don't mean rewriting. I mean like going backwards and saying that like retconning. Sorry, not rewriting.
Retconning. But I don't know because if it's ideally the trilogy would have an outline before the films are made.
They did not. That was one of the things that the director of The Last Jedi specifically said. Straight up, that was
right.
why
I remember he was like, "Yeah, none of this. They didn't have
none
a
of
plan,
this was planned."
so
and that was also one of the things that Mark Hamill talked about before The Last Jedi was even released. Was that the new guy is gonna have to come up with all of this shit. Like they didn't have a plan. That was one of the things that George Lucas always did. He always had a plan.
Sometimes it was a bad plan.
Sometimes his plans were dumb as shit and terrible.
I don't know though.
But
like
he did have a plan. He had a through line. He had a story.
I think retcons. I think retcons can be fine if they're done in a clever way. So I'm like I still think they have another movie to make good on some of it. And I'm not. And even
come up with a plan in the first place.
Well, sure, but like you can't.
God
always,
damn it, Kathleen Kennedy!
You can't always ask for that. Sometimes you have to make shit up as you go along.
You should be able to ask for that in a storytelling medium.
Well,
like for fuck's sake,
you can sometimes, but I don't know. There are issues beyond that.
If you're going to plan a trilogy, plan what happened.
No, I agree with you, but I'm saying that you can't always do that. Like, especially
if you come out with a sequel that you didn't plan for,
then fine. Yeah,
but I don't know. Like, I don't want to sit here and harp on the Star Wars movies because
what I'm saying is I don't think that was all J.J. Abrams. So.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the pattern is consistent with. I don't think the pattern is consistent with J.J. Abrams. I like when it comes to look and feel. There's plenty of, to.
Well, here's the thing. What I'm saying is this isn't because of like the stuff that he did with Star Wars. That's like an example. These are stuff he said in interviews and stuff. Like that's his philosophy of making movies. It's let the fans write the thing and then sort of feel out what they're feeling as it goes along, rather than planning something out.
I don't know.
Which is like, and which might have led to like the reason that Damien.
But I don't know. You're making too many jumps here. Is what I'm saying. Like
the fact that he said that.
No, the fact that he said that, and then you assume that that's why things happened the way they did. I don't know.
The fact that he said that, and then I assume that's why they happened the way they did in Star Wars. After the director of Last Jedi,
but there's plenty of
reasons.
There's plenty of other ones, like Westworld is produced by him. Mission Impossible Fallout is.
Story.
But he has just as much. He has just as much to do with the story in Mission Impossible and Westworld, in which he's executive producer and producer. as he does in things like Star Wars.
Doesn't producer just mean that he throws money at it?
Yes.
Like, but
the director does have things.
What I'm
to do
saying
with the
is,
script.
I don't see how you.
What are you talking about?
I don't see how you can say that he's like, for the examples where he did good movies like Westworld and Mission Impossible, he'd had nothing to do with it. But movies like Star Wars, he had everything to do with why it was bad. Like I don't understand.
He was the director.
But was he?
You don't fuck with.
He was also the producer of Star Wars. He was also the producer of Star Trek
and a director.
Man,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't understand.
He didn't direct it. He didn't direct any of the episodes of Westworld. He wasn't the showrunner of that. He was
the executive producer.
Yeah, but he wasn't the showrunner. The showrunners were the Christopher Nolan and that other lady. Well, not Christopher Nolan, the other guy, Jonathan Nolan. And Ralph McQuarrie is the guy who directed the.
What about how about 10 Cloverfield Lane? There are just as many examples where he was just as involved as he was in certain movies as others, and I don't understand why you're saying that.
Because he was much more involved on the Star Wars movies because he was a director. Like seriously, those are like big things. He was a director on the first Star Wars movie, and is the director for the last one.
It only says he's the producer on IMDb.
On the first Star Wars, on Force Awakens, he was definitely the director of Force Awakens. Are you serious? Yes, of course he was the director on Force Awakens.
Hold on.
I remember that. I remember he was the director.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that you're reading too much into it.
He doesn't have a credit for he does not have a director credit in Star Wars Force Awakens.
Really? Who does?
If you go to the Star Wars page, it lists him as the director, but on his page, it doesn't list him as the director for some reason.
All right.
Weird. Because he was definitely the director of Force Awakens. Like, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know, but
he's been involved with the entire Star Wars cinematic universe from its inception.
But I'm just saying though that there are lots of examples where he was not the director and you were kind of trashing him over it. So.
Oh no, I wasn't. I won't trash him over anything.
He said two specific things. I don't know. This argument's getting pretty dumb. I don't think anybody's gonna make any ground. Why don't we talk about the Academy Awards?
Okay. So the new Academy Awards, they added a new category called the Popular Film Award. Probably something to get people to watch it.
Now, what in the fuck does that mean?
It is the award is called Excellence in Popular Filmmaking, so that Marvel movies can get into the Academy Awards. That's the reason it exists.
Yeah,
straight up. That
and action movies and blockbuster movies, just bigger things. Yeah. I don't think that this will make a difference.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like they're attempting to get people to watch the Oscars more because they feel like the reason that people don't watch the Oscars is because a lot of movies that people don't watch a lot are being nominated for Oscars, and that's true. So this is going to be their solution to that question mark. It's not, but it's what they're going to try.
It's not going to work, but that's what their plan is. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think there's much to say about this because it feels half baked. I don't know.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
And it seems like
not having a plan.
It seems like almost condescending too, because it's here's have your baby award for not best film. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have your Marvel award for your new Marvel film so that people will watch us. People don't give a shit about the that Chinese fucking thing that nobody fucking saw.
Yeah.
Here you go. Have this. Yeah, it's dumb. The Oscars is dumb.
I don't know. I think just as many people who are going to watch the Oscars before are going to watch it now. I don't think this is going to change anything.
I don't think this is...
It's not going to make more people watch the Oscars. It's just going to be a new category.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move into video game news.
Okay, I'm a little bit scared to introduce this first one, but I will anyway.
Just say QuakeCon.
Oh,
What? We'll start at QuakeCon? Okay.
Wait,
There are two things above it. Blizzard confirms multiple Diablo projects by the end of 2018.
Oh, actually, we're even before that. We should be.
Yeah, we should be.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ! You
we have
right.
a lot, my man.
I think.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, the IGN thing. Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Wow. Yeah.
We talked about this earlier in the week too, about whether or not we should talk. Let's go on it though.
Okay.
Oh,
So let's go even further back. From last Wednesday, IGN pulls a review from their website after accusation of plagiarisms, which when we say accusation, we mean flat out plagiarism.
It's not word for word, but it's close.
Yeah. It's like one of those things you might slip by your middle school teacher because she didn't read the article.
It's like enough that if you were to write an essay, you probably wouldn't be flagged by that checking thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, Philip Mewson, who's actually the one of the hosts, actually the main host for the Nintendo IGN podcast, was actually the writer editor who apparently stole probably a majority of his points, and there were points that were word for word, but or like very close. Here, I'm just gonna read some of the quotes because from a YouTube channel called Boomstick Gaming. So in Boomstick Gaming's quote, in most games of this genre, your coolest skills and spells are often set to strictly long recharge timers or a limited mana system, but in Dead Cells, your abilities have incredibly quick recharges and allow you to seamlessly integrate these gadgets in normal encounters, and it doesn't make you feel penalized for using your cool stuff. Here's Philip Mewson. Most games limit your most useful skills with long cooldown timers or a limited mana system, but Dead Cells encourages you to use your deadliest gadgets with a fast recharge timer. It never punishes you for using your best tactics.
I love how the IGN version just sounds like a dumbed down version of what the other guy said.
In fairness, I was looking at these quotes and I'm like, Philip Mewson is probably a better editor in that he does get to the point faster and strip out useless words. That being said, he's not supposed to be an editor. He's writing the review. Dead Cells. Here's another one. Dead Cells only falters slightly with some repetition setting in, especially on the early areas and during longer play sessions. Here's Mewson. Dead Cells does falter slightly with some repetition, but it only felt it in its earlier areas and during extended play sessions.
All he did was move the word "only" to later in the sentence. That is the exact same wording.
Well, he replaced longer with extended.
Yeah, to make it sound better.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like he took it and edited it. He didn't.
Yeah, he did a slight rewrite.
He didn't even really reword it. He just kind of moved stuff around. Here's the last one that I'm going to read. Boomstick Gaming. Dead Cells figures out an intriguing way to have your roguelike and Metroidvania experience all in one by focusing on your failures and encouraging you to try something new the next time. Here's Mewson. Dead Cells strikes a perfect and engaging balance between the Metroidvania and roguelike experience by focusing on your failures and urging you to experiment every time you fail.
That's like the most different one you've read, and still half the sentence was identical.
Yes. It's really blatant. And on top of it, it's stealing from like a small YouTube channel. Like a YouTube channel only slightly larger than our own.
Yeah, that's like extremely. But you know what?
Since this has happened,
I bet that guy.
Yeah, he's got
a lot of subscribers now. That guy fucking
good.
Blasted to the ceiling. It's like, holy shit! IGN's copying this guy's reviews. He must be good.
Feeling a little stale.
Good. You know what? Good for him.
And,
Boomstick Gaming, you deserve it.
In particular, the video he posted claiming about oh shit, all these autoplay videos. Claiming that it was like super close.
Fucking Kotaku.
No, actually, it was YouTube.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But yeah, like it was like mid video that it linked to, and then I went to his homepage, and then it went to his autoplay video on his homepage. But anyway, yeah. So now he has 70K subscribers, which I think is up pretty significantly from what he was doing.
Yeah, I think when I first saw this article, he was at like 40,000 or something, which was still much larger than he was when this happened.
Yeah. But
actually, he's still pretty significantly larger than us, but still.
Oh anyway. yeah, but still. This is dumb. Fuck you, guy who wrote this from IGN.
So IGN,
and it's this particular guy too, because
Philip Mewson.
Yeah,
later on in the article, it shows that he kind of like it shows another thing that was dug up from when he was first hired. He almost blatantly plagiarized a Nintendo Life review as well.
Yeah.
So, this is just him.
I don't know how anyone thinks they could get away with that now. Anyway, so it says, since IGN has let go of Philip Mewson, writing in a statement that it plans to re-review Dead Cells, they apologize to their readers, develop Motion Twin, and the YouTuber named as Boomstick Gaming for failing to uphold the standards. So IGN reacted exactly how they should, but like this is kind of not good for them.
Yeah, this is you do realize, IGN, hey, you realize this is exactly the reason that I trust a man's opinion who called someone playing League of Legends a scumfuck bastard piece of trash who deserves to be gunned down in the street more than I trust your opinions, right?
Yeah.
This is why.
I think IGN is forever tainted from that from them fucking with the score for Kane and Lynch 2, which is why Giant Bomb exists.
Yeah,
like several of the writers for IGN left to form Giant Bomb because of how they did.
Because of that, yeah.
So and IGN is already a joke.
And Giant Bomb is a much better
joke.
Oh, absolutely.
IGN isn't even a joke. It's like the butt of jokes. Like, how many times have you heard in the last month you can't spell ignorance without IGN?
Yeah.
Well, I've literally never heard that before. But I have. Really? But you know, people say IGN 10 out of 10 like all the time for like shit that's awful. So
IGN 8.5.
They're like not even a joke. They're just a punchline.
Yeah, they're a meme.
Yeah, they're when people talk about bad gaming journalism, they're talking about IGN.
That being said, I don't
maybe games.
I don't like their reviews and stuff, but I do listen to their podcasts, and usually their podcasts are pretty good. But apparently, Philip Mewson, who is the host of one of their podcasts, is the one who did this. So that's funny as hell to me.
Podcast is aside from Collider, actively the one that Red Letter Media's joke podcast makes fun of.
Yeah, what's funny about Philip Mewson is I actually really liked him as a host. So he actually was pretty funny and pretty like engaging and did a good job of hosting. He's just a
plagiarist.
Yeah, he's a plagiarist, and like this is the worst kind of person in journalism. Literally the worst thing you could be. So I don't know.
A lot of people, you know, there's been a lot of talk about journalistic integrity, but like this is the absolute worst possible thing. There's like bad things you can do. There's this. This is like the room of journalism.
I think the only worst you could get is Jason Glass, who literally made up stories. So, I don't know.
No. You can get worse. Plagiarizing made up stories.
Well, Jason Glass did stuff like he would have friends, or he would hire people to lie to people about being a source and stuff. But
all right. So by all technicality, he was.
He was making up false stories, but he was doing the journalistic steps. He had sources that he paid for, but anyway.
So I'm gonna start from the bottom up because I feel like the news gets less interesting and easier to rapid fire at the bottom of our news list.
Okay, but I just want to the last thing I want to say about this is I actually had some respect for Philip Mewson before this. Which is funny to me. I don't know. It's just like I actually thought he was an up and coming like guy. He was doing all these podcasts. He was I don't know, doing panels and stuff. And Like, how do you fuck up your career like that? That's crazy.
Seriously. And you didn't. It's not like you even like. It's not like even nebulous. Like right. Like a lot of times, a lot of journalism sources will post a similar article.
Yeah.
To like between IGN and Kotaku will post very similar reading articles because they both want to be the first to get it out and they you know stuff like that. But that's like, even if they did copy from each other, then that's like a giant company copying from another giant company. This is a giant company who let a writer copy from a small YouTuber.
Yeah.
Like, and I just don't get, like, okay, assume he had less than half of the subscribers. That's still like 30,000 people. You think that 30,000 people aren't going to cross over with people who read an IGN review? Like,
yeah, seriously.
IGN is so big.
Yeah, seriously. It's pretty bad.
This is why people trust randos on fucking Steam who said
we are.
I like to jack my dick while fighting Rathios or some bullshit.
But yeah, we do need to keep going.
Yeah,
yeah,
we are running short on time. So so Let It Die is getting a new lease on life with a PC port, which is great. I have been waiting for years, like I guess 2 years, for Let It Die. Since it came out, for a Let It Die PC port, and I just kind of gave up on the notion. But I was, at the time Let It Die came out, like many people, I was really into Dark Souls, and I was really excited to play Let It Die, and I wanted it to come to PC, and it never did. And so now it is, which is great. I'm so excited to see Uncle Death in all his crazy 80s kid glory.
I will also play Let It Die because it sounds fun.
Yeah. It looks like it's a year and a half old.
Also, it's free. So,
yeah.
You know? Great. So Sony's rigid crossplay stance might prevent Elder Scrolls Legends from seeing a PS4 release, which is not surprising. Bethesda doesn't want to release Elder Scrolls Legends, which is their Elder Scrolls-based card game, on the PlayStation 4 due to the fact that, I mean, the player base is going to be smaller. They're not going to be, like, it's not going to be profitable for them to have a small player base locked to one console when the rest of everybody else gets to play cross-platform, right?
Yeah.
So this is a sensible decision, and it's kind of screwing Sony over. Like, obviously, Elder Scrolls Legends isn't going to be a selling point for the PlayStation 4 or anything.
Yeah, they just really don't give a shit. Like, honestly, Sony is so ahead of the curve right now that they don't care.
Yeah. So like it's a ding on Sony, but it's like a small ding in the great armor plate that is Sony, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sony's been.
They're like the one competitor to PC gaming.
Yeah, it's like they'll just buff it out. They'll go to the
console war is PC versus Sony.
Well, actually,
right now.
the PC. It's more like the opposite. It's like PC is
Sony.
the only competitor for Sony. Sony is definitely in the lead.
Yeah.
Also Nintendo's there too.
Okay,
Nintendo's been fucking it up since the Switch came out.
We'll do the quick keynotes from QuakeCon. Quake Champions will be permanently free to play. I wanted to skip over the Fallout 76 one for now because this leads into it. Quake Champions will be permanently free to play. Now, I swear that I thought that this was what it was going to be the whole time. I could have sworn that they were in buy-in early access and they always plan to be free to play. But apparently this free to play thing was an announcement, so obviously I was wrong.
Well, either that or is the announcement is that it's happening now.
That it's going because it is free to play now.
Okay.
What it was
yeah, I don't know if that's what it was, but it is now.
And unfortunately, the instant it went free to play, it went from recent reviews mostly positive to mixed.
Yeah, well,
because the if I'm gonna say one bad thing about it, the free to play
monetization.
Your monetization is really fucking bad.
I think the free to play monetization is great because there are two options. One, you can buy a thing for $5, which gets you nothing, or you can just buy it for $30, which gets you everything forever. And I think
if you want to play free to play, it takes more than 40 hours to unlock a character. You get less, like the loot boxes only drop like 3 things at max, and that's if you get one of the biggest loot boxes, which is already less than Overwatch's 4 for every loot box. The lowest level.
Okay, well, that's not what you said.
Only gives 1.
Okay,
that's not what you said.
Like
what you said was the monetization was bad.
Oh, that's what.
That's what I
said.
thought he
meant.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What I meant was the progression is like
Okay.
so bad.
I don't.
Quake
Okay,
Champions.
I think that on the whole, I agree with you. I think it's tuned way too high. That being said, in general, I don't like it being free to play. You are talking about the money component of it. I would say is kind of the important part. And I think in terms of the monetization scheme, I don't think it's that bad, especially when compared to things like League of Legends and compared to other games.
A one-time buy-in is great. Like, if you look at League of Legends, which is easy to compare to because it's another, like, you spend a lot of time and unlock one character. They have, like, a free champion pack, which gets you, like, 30 of the oldest champions and shittiest champions in the game. And that's what you can buy, and that's how you buy them. As other than that, you have to spend $10 to $15 per character out of like 300 characters or something dumb they have. Whereas Quake, it's just like if you can play it free to play, but if you just purchase what is the price of a relatively cheap game, then you could just have everything
forever.
So,
a lot of
I
people
will
are
though
also complaining about the netcode. It was apparently not ready for free to play, and it's got a lot of problems.
I will agree though that I think the progression is really slow, and it should be faster.
For sure.
So I don't completely disagree with you, but I think that in general the monetization is good. I just think that they need to be a little bit nicer to free to players. And the netcode, like when you first flip a big switch like that happens. Like anybody who complains about that, like
it literally we just experienced it with Monster Hunter. We're still experiencing it.
I hate to really knock it against them because that happens to that happened to Guild Wars, that happens to World of Warcraft, like that happens.
It does.
So
World of War, in fact, Battle for Azeroth just released, which I didn't really put in the news because I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but. You know, Battle for Azeroth, I'm sure had some timeouts when they were first. It happens to Blizzard of all people, you know. So like, it's not really. It is a knock against them, but it's not a knock against them that nobody else has ever experienced.
I don't think it's a knock against them at all, honestly. If it stays like that, then yeah. But if we're talking about the first week, like, come on.
Yeah.
I don't care about any of this other stuff other than Doom Eternal. So let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's pretty much that was sort of the big thing in QuakeCon. There was like a bunch of other stuff, maybe some like other Bethesda stuff.
Well, there's
and
some
then,
Elder
like,
Scrolls Online, and they're talking about Rage 2, but I don't like it's.
And then the Black Crow lands and just starts screaming, "Doom! Fuck yeah! Fuck
Doom!" Yeah. They also had some Fallout 76 news that I want to go through real quick.
But
Doom
we'll
Eternal
go to that
is more
separately,
important
though.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal. My God. Doom was like a breakout fucking success in 2016 because nobody thought they would make another good Doom game after Doom 3 killed it. But
Doom 3 was like good, it just wasn't a Doom game.
Right,
it was
exactly.
a fine survival
Well,
horror
it wasn't that. It was everything they were coming out of that game sounded bad, and like they focused on the they're talking a lot about the multiplayer, and they released a beta for the multiplayer. So all of this stuff
terrible.
Like and there was like behind the scenes like rumors about lots of discord at the studio because there was so like there was a lot of stuff in the background that nobody was expecting it to be good because the only things they were hearing are bad things. It's like a movie having a troubled recording thing and then coming out and being fucking amazing. Like
right.
It was and Doom 2016 was
kind of like Ant-Man, although Ant-Man's not quite as like a big thing, but like Ant-Man had a troubled thing and then it came out and was great. So
the action in Doom is fucking perfect. It's perfect. It's great. And I love it. And it's exactly how you would want an updated version of Doom to be.
Yeah.
And so Doom Eternal looks exactly the same, which is good.
Well, new monsters, new weapons, new mechanics such like grappling hook stuff.
Yeah.
They redesigned some of the monsters to look more like the monsters in the original Doom, like the Magebusses in particular.
One of the things that I'm excited for that they kind of teased was it seems, I don't know if this will be exactly it, but it looks like a Dark Souls style invasions because at the end of the teaser
they straight up
trailer,
said that. No, actually, they released some information. One of the modes is you can go in and possess one of the enemies in the game to fuck with other players.
Yeah,
And that's how their
Yeah,
multiplayer will be structured instead.
I think that's like the only kind of invasion. I don't think you can actually like play as a Doom guy.
Yeah, I wouldn't figure that would be
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, at the end
That'd
of
be
the trailer,
hilarious,
it showed 2 demons with player names over their heads. Like, and it was hilarious. I loved it. Just a quick shout out, the Revenant controlled the player controlling the Revenant's name was Doot76.
Mhm.
So thanks for that, QuakeCon.
Yeah, so
And,
right, and yeah, and they said that they're not gonna focus on multiplayer, like competitive multiplayer. The only multiplayer they're gonna have, I think that's what they said, is going to be the invasion stuff. They did announce preemptively that they will have story DLC, which is something that the first Doom did not get.
Yeah, it got DLC, but it was multiplayer DLC.
And I always hesitate when I hear, like, on one hand, yes, people want that, right? So it's good that they're going to release story DLC, but when you plan to do story DLC, then you kind of run into the worry. It's like, okay, well, is this something that should have been in the game that they took out, or is this something that they added later? Like, and you always get that worry, so I feel like it's too early to announce stuff like that.
Well, I think sometimes when they say that they plan to have story DLC, they don't necessarily. It's not like they've started working on story DLC, but they're like, okay, we know that people like this game, and we know that a lot of people are going to buy it, but we want to release it now, and we want to make more later. We want to support this game.
Yeah,
that's what I get the impression.
That's optimistically what it should be, and I agree, and I generally do think that usually that's what people mean, but I do think that anytime you announce story DLC this early on, you run the risk of being like, what is this taking, like, what parts are they taking out for later? You know what I mean? And I'm generally someone who likes DLC, but when, like, a good example is in Deus Ex Human Revolution, there's a part where you go missing for a couple months and then you pop up and it's like, yeah, I did all this stuff, don't worry about it. And then later on they release the Missing Link DLC and it's like, well, if you're gonna cut this chunk out, why not just leave it in the middle of the fucking game?
Yeah.
So and it's I hope that it's not like that. It's like, oh, I have to do this other thing. But I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So there are 2 more little bigger pieces of news. I want to go to Fallout 76 first because I'm really excited for Fallout 76.
What's the second one? Because I only see one more thing.
Path of Exile Delve.
Oh, okay.
The new league.
Yeah.
So
talk about Fallout though.
Fallout 76. We got a bunch of information. I'll just go over kind of the important ones. So the first one is the PvP aspect of the game. So essentially, the way that it will work, and this is confirmed now and not just speculation, somebody can kill you unprovoked. Somebody can shoot at you, and if you shoot back at them, then you will enter a PvP state with that person, and you will both deal full damage, and you'll be like PvPing, right? If somebody decides to start shooting at you, and you do not shoot it back at them, then they will not be in a PvP state with you. They'll deal reduced damage to you, etc., etc. But eventually, of course, they can kill you. Now, if they kill you, they become what is called a wanted murderer, where everybody globally on the map can see them. They get a bounty, and that bounty is taken out of their resources. So somebody kills them, they get that bounty. They steal caps from that person, essentially. And furthermore, they can no longer see other players on the map, which means that if you murder somebody, you're not going to be able to see other players. So it's going to make it a lot harder for you to just run around and be an ass clown, because you're not going to be able to look at the map and be like, oh, this guy's here, let me go kill him.
But at the same time, that could be challenging gameplay, because you can murder someone and then be an ass clown and then prepare to fight people you can't see coming.
Exactly. And that's what I think is so great about it, because instead of just doing like a shitty punishment to people who murder to make it so that nobody will ever want to murder somebody, or making it so that it's just like encourages you to murder, it discourages you from murdering people by making the game more difficult for you because you know people are going to be coming out of the woodworks. But at the same time, if that's what you're looking for, if you want to PvP, then go try to murder somebody. If they PvP you back, then you're PvPing and that's what you want. If they don't PvP you back, then you murder them and you're flagged for PvP for everybody to come and kill you. So it's kind of win-win for everybody. The other thing, if somebody's
unless the murderer is really good at killing you, despite everything.
Sure, but the other thing, but since they can't see players on the map, the idea is that due to the size of the map, if you respawn somewhere, that's that person isn't going to be able to keep murdering you. It's not like you're going to respawn and they're going to be camping that same place. You can spawn wherever you want, really.
Yeah, they said it's free to spawn to the closest one. The closest waypoint, or you can go to as far as possible, and you pay a fee to go there.
Yeah.
Another funny thing they said about the wanted murderer thing is when someone finally kills the wanted murderer, they get a bounty paid out of the caps of the wanted murderer.
Yeah. So
good.
So you are actually, like I said, you are discouraged from killing people, right? But that doesn't mean you can't. So I think it strikes a good balance, but it's still we'll have to see how the player base treats it.
Right. Yeah. And the alternative is if you shoot back at someone who shot you first, then you just go into a PvP mode and you can just kill them at full damage.
Yeah, neither of you become a wanted murderer, you're just PvPing. So it's like a PvP challenge. Now, what they found was that in internal testing, people would run around in front of somebody who was shooting at a monster to get them to shoot at them, and then they would shoot them back and enter PvP. So they also have a system called a pacifist flag, which lets you flag yourself as a pacifist, meaning you can't damage other players unless that player damages you first, maybe? I don't know.
When they were talking... you literally... If you have the pacifist flag, your bullets literally can't hit other players. I think is what it said.
And basically the reason for that is to prevent people from running in front of you trying to get you to shoot at them.
Right. Yeah. The funny thing about this, about how this thing that they were talking about is they were saying some of the ways that they were able to test for this stuff is they had certain players do as much griefing as they possibly could do as part of their testing, and that's why a lot of the ways that things work the way they do is like that. Another thing they said is part of the reason why you're allowed to nuke settlements and completely destroy them is because they already needed a system to have everything breakable in game so that you couldn't trap people like you can in some of the other survival games. Yeah. So the reason why the nuke destroys stuff is just a consequence of having everything breakable.
Right.
Yeah.
Which being nuked is not a super big deal, but it does set you back. So it's again, I think they're trying to strike a balance. So it sets you back in that you need to rebuild your camp. But when you've built this cool house and you're really proud of it and you're wow, it becomes a blueprint in your camp.
I think you have to actively select turn into a blueprint, and then you can do it for your whole camp. I think though, so you can just move your whole camp somewhere else. The point is, if you're really proud of something you built and then you get nuked, you're going to have to find some resources again, but you aren't going to have to build it again from scratch like a pain in the ass, Or at the very least, you have to move it.
Yeah.
I don't know that it costs resources again, but you definitely have to move it or wait for the radiation to wear off or whatever, at least.
Right. A couple of other keynotes is that global chat is proximity based, so only people near you can hear, which is pretty cool. That's how a lot of these survival type games works. Yeah.
I really like how perks are handled. Did you read the perk stuff?
I did. This is the other big thing. So perks are handled in such a way. The way it works is you level up your all of your special stats start at 1. Then you level up your special stats, and every time you level up your special stats, you get to choose between 3 different perk cards. Now, those perk cards you have permanently, but you can only equip so many perk cards to each special stat. And one of the things that they also have is a thing called a perk card pack. This is not a microtransaction. You just get a perk card pack at level 5, 10, 15, 20, and it'll give you a set of random perk cards. And the reason that they implemented this was because they found that people basically like planned their build from the start and didn't try other things. So they gave out these perk card packs to give you random perk cards to encourage you to be like, wow. They said one of their playtesters specifically was putting a lot of stuff into like strength, but he found that he could never carry anything and he just didn't care to do anything. So, but out of a perk card pack, he got an endurance perk card that increased his carry weight. And then when he saw how nice that was to have the increased carry weight, he started putting points into endurance to get more carry.
And so, just in general, it allows you to try things that you wouldn't normally even think about putting points into. So, or getting a card for. So like, cool. if you're min-maxing like strength, for instance, you might randomly just get one for charisma, and it's like, since you have 1 point in all of your special stats at the beginning, that means you can at least put one perk card into charisma and, or whatever.
Speaking of charisma, this will be the most interesting to you, Thel. Charisma is based almost entirely on group play. So there are charisma perks such as you can share the effects of your other perk cards with your group members. So everybody will get a +10 to fire rate for your agility perk, which is really cool. So there's a bunch of stuff like that. There's also
and because it is a Fallout game at heart, you can still use charisma for stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Well, the problem is that there aren't any NPCs, so that's why they.
Well, human NPCs.
There are no human NPCs. That's why they wanted to make charisma, like they had to center charisma around group play because that's that's the sensible step, right?
Because in Fallout 76, you can't just like walk up to the master and be like, "Lamau died, bitch," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, okay, yeah.
The other thing is they made the Pip-Boy, or they what's it called? What's the
Pip-Boy?
What's the scanning thing? VATS. They made VATS work in real time, but in the beginning you only target the main body, but later on you can get a perk card that lets you target individual pieces.
Yeah. So if you like how VATS works in the real time, you can kind of build into it, but it's not a necessity.
And it makes it so that if you're bad at aiming, for instance, like if you're people who play Fallout but mainly rely on VATS to play it, you can still get around it, and be effective by just using VATS a lot instead.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's about it for Fallout 76 information. That will be the beta will be dropping in November, I believe. Or no.
It's
September.
It's gonna be a hard year for you to choose your game of the year, man.
It really fucking is.
Let's hope Fallout 76 sucks. So it'll be easier for you to choose your game.
I hope Fallout 76 doesn't suck. I have two monitors. I'll play Monster Hunter on one with my controller and Fallout 76 on the other.
Based on what I've heard from their design philosophy stuff and what they've said in interviews, I'd be really surprised if it just completely sucked. It might be not fun, but I would be surprised if it just sucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do kind of agree. Everything that we've heard out of this game sounds like a good survival game. Yeah,
their design philosophy is exactly that, to make that a good survival game. They want to look at Rust and Ark and DayZ and be like, look at all of the shitty stuff in this. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Let's take lessons from all these games and then make it a Fallout game too.
Yeah.
Or make a Fallout game and then take all these things from other stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So the very last bit of news is Path of Exile's new league was announced. It is called...
We didn't get to the Diablo stuff.
No, we'll talk about that in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Or Smash.
Path of Exile. We talked about Smash last week.
Oh, we did?
We did. The Path of Exile Delve. The Delve League is a new league.
Oh, shit, we didn't talk about Smash last week.
We did not talk about
God,
Smash
it's been a long week.
Yeah.
Well, let me get through Delve. It's been a long week, and we're having a long podcast.
Yeah.
The Delve League is a new league, so every 3 months I say this exact same sentence. Well, Path of Exile essentially releases a new league every 3 months where they give a new mechanic to the game, and it is a limited league. You have to start your character over. It's like old Diablo 2 ladders, right? The thing that Path of Exile does right is adding the new mechanics, such as this league that's running currently is Incursion, where you go into temples and fight cool shit, and then you get to build your own temple and run it later. Delve will have you exploring the Azurite mines. So in every map you will find a thaumatic sulfite like chunk, and then the miner will come out. He'll mine it for you, and that will give you fuel to your cart, which the cart essentially moves through an infinitely randomly generated mine that you can just go deeper and deeper into until your cart runs out of fuel. The reason you need the cart is because the darkness in the mine literally kills you. If you are in the dark, you start to take health damage and die. If you are near the cart, there's light and you do not die. I think this is really good for Path of Exile because the cart moves at a set rate, and Path of Exile for the last year has been just totally focused on clear speed, clear everything as fast as you can, kill, go fast, run. You want to get increased movement speed so that you can run through the map faster. You want to kill everything in one hit so that you can just go faster and faster. And Delve kind of looks like it's going to put you have to stay near the cart to stay alive. So you're not going to be able to do the clear speed thing. And essentially, I think it'll be really good for the diversity in people's builds. Yeah. And it offers you, because it's infinitely generated and gets harder and harder the deeper you go, it will offer an alternative to in-game mapping, which is pretty much the only thing to do at the end of the game right now.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good.
So that's really cool. Yeah, it looks like they're really ramping it up with this new league. And of course, they'll be adding new skills, reworking some old skills and stuff such like that, like they do every league.
Okay. Let's hit some of this Diablo news.
All right. Multiple Diablo projects in production, says Blizzard.
Yeah,
there are
here. Let me go through this real quick.
Okay.
So there's things that are speculation, and then there's things that are rumors based on some stuff that have happened.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just kind of separate this. So straight up, some of the rumors. There've been a lot of talk about remaking maybe Diablo 1. Based on job listings, they're also talking about potentially a Diablo 4. There's some speculation about a smartphone version of Diablo of some kind.
Okay.
But in general, they say they are definitely multiple Diablo projects in production. So that's at least 2.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool for.
Oh, go on.
You're gonna say the exact same thing I was. Just go.
I feel like Diablo 1 is probably the best remake of Diablo that they could make. As much as I love Diablo 2 with all of my heart, it's my baby, and I will nurture it and watch it grow up to be big and strong. I do think Diablo 1 could use a remake, because I also really like Diablo 1.
Diablo 2...
Diablo 2 remake would be good,
They also went back and patched Diablo 2 to work with modern resolutions, so...
Yeah!
So that kind of helps.
Great.
That was made me so happy.
Previously, you needed to download a mod for that.
Yeah.
Which was a pain in the ass, and it was easier to just play it in native resolution.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in a Diablo 4, having played some Diablo 3. I know that you were uninterested in Diablo 3 for story reasons, right?
And aesthetic reasons.
What's wrong with aesthetic?
It's so bright. Remember back in Andariel's cavern? Everything was covered in blood. It was
you need to play Diablo 3 because that bright is not the word that comes to mind.
I played I don't think it was up to the Skeleton King. I did play a little bit of Diablo 3. It's like
the first dungeon is well lit. I will grant you, but
yeah. The thing is it's tonally not as dark is what I really meant. And yeah, that is part of the story reason.
I don't know if I would also agree with that either, but
I kind of agree that it's
yeah.
I kind of agree that it's pretty bright. I don't know. Here, I'll post this in Twitch chat in here. This is a screenshot from right before you fight the demon, the High Lord of Deception. Like, this is a lush green forested area. Like, what are you?
This is one area, and I think that, like, if you compare it to Diablo 2's forest area, it's not that much different. I mean, granted, you're not fighting like Diablo, you're fighting like Belial, but
right.
I don't know. I mean, there are points in time that are darker, and there are points in time that are lighter. Like, if you, I think it would have more lighter points, sure, but
I think that while playing it, I didn't notice the brightness so much. Like, I didn't notice the.
Also, Diablo 2 was really washed out. I remember the Andariel fight being really washed out.
It is. But that's because it was such an old game.
Yeah, and the blacks are blacker. Anyway, I think that we should still all try Diablo together sometime, and then, you know, maybe we can have longer discussions about the lore and the tone and whatever then.
Right.
I still think that would be good in general for us, but I don't know. I'm interested in Diablo 4, and maybe they would be able to make good. I just think that where they're having trouble with making a Diablo 4 is that they killed all of the 7 deadly sins at this point.
Yeah. Because
in the first one, there's like 7 lords of hell, and they had the major and minor demons, right? They killed all the major demons in the first 2 games, and then they kill the minor demons in the last...
Wait, what?
Yeah, like...
What's 7 lords of hell?
What? There's
Baal?
There's Baal, Diablo,
and
Mephisto. There's Andariel, and that's 4.
Andariel was not a lord of hell. She was a lesser demon previously in Diablo 2.
Okay, then maybe she was.
In fact, in the lore, it was that the lesser demons were constantly at war with the 3 lords of hell: Baal, Mephisto.
Okay, if that's the case, then she was a lesser demon. But that's 4, and then you fight the deception. You fight Baal. You fight the other ones in Diablo 3.
I mean, it's not like the 7 Lords of Hell is a new concept that Diablo made up.
No, that's the thing. It was different than that. There was no 7. There was just the 3 in Diablo 2.
Well, no, Diablo 2, you fight the 3 primevals.
Yeah.
You're not fighting primevals in Diablo 3.
You're just fighting evils. Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're fighting, like, in a way, Diablo 3 is on a lesser... I wouldn't say it conflicts.
Right.
You're fighting.
7
okay, all right. Well, so they're a different thing. Okay, that makes sense.
So
the 7 Lords of Hell are the lesser evils, which are Belial, Asmodan, Duriel, and Andariel.
Okay.
And the prime evils.
Okay,
so those are referred to as the 7 Lords of Hell in Diablo 3. So it's not like a retcon or changed lore. They just
expanded
it together as a name.
Yeah, and actually, if those ones are the lesser evils, then that fits in with Diablo 2 too.
Yeah. And then I don't know, maybe they mess with other stuff down the line, but yeah, I'm really interested. I don't know about a phone game. That could go either way, depending on what they do.
I feel like if they made like a Diablo phone game,
I feel like if it controls good, then it'll be good. If it doesn't control good, then that'll be bad.
Well, that's the thing.
That'll be the make or break.
That's the thing. I don't know that they could make a Diablo style game on the phone feel good. You know what I mean? So I think they would they would almost have to make some sort of like idle game or something else. Yeah, so I don't know. Like that's just kind of like up in the air, but they've been making money lately, so
yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Anyway, let's talk about the last big thing that we had lots of conversations about, and now that you're mentioning it, like, yeah, we didn't talk about this, but wow,
again, all last week. Yeah,
it's because it wasn't out.
Yeah, Super Smash Brothers released some more information about some of the characters that they're adding. They announced 2 new characters and a bunch of a couple Echo fighters and a bunch of like different mechanics and stuff that they're adding and stage
and
stuff.
A few assist trophies, which both of my friends are pissed off about.
Stuff. So let's start off with characters. They added, I forget their names.
Simon
Belmont.
and Richter Belmont. They announced Simon Belmont and Richter as an Echo fighter of Simon.
Yeah.
And then King K. Rool from Donkey Kong.
A huge Surprise.
And also an Echo Fighter of Samus that is Dark Samus.
Yes. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by King K. Rool. They added Ridley, and that was like the meme character. And so the meme character became, wow, Ridley got into Smash and King K. Rool didn't. Haha, now King K. Rool's in Smash. So what are you gonna do now? It's like it's like they are aiming to please everybody with this one, and I think
They're
that's
not pleasing
good.
me.
Yeah, they sure are.
They added as a assist trophy Alucard from
Well, you gotta remember,
Castlevania.
that was the instant that Castlevania left Nintendo for Sony, right? Alucard wasn't really in any of the Nintendo games.
He's the most iconic and most important character in the entire series.
Belmont is pretty much is probably the most iconic character.
No, because Symphony
He's
of
been
the
around
Night.
since the NES and was on the
Sure,
SNES.
he's old box art that barely had a story, but Alucard is
Actually, the Castlevania games probably had more story than like any games on the NES.
Not at the
point where the
NES
Castlevania game, where the point where the Castlevania games had like
they had like text
a prequel, which was crazy.
Yeah, well, but anyway, it wasn't until Super Nintendo that they really started actually developing story on that. But
more importantly, that's never
he's
really stopped them before.
Yeah, and like for instance, Metal Gear Solid, they had Shadow Moses and that version of Snake. Like,
yeah,
I think that version of Snake was the one in the NES.
No.
He's the one who killed.
Oh, well, he's in NES games, but they use Shadow Moses, which is only in the PlayStation
was not.
one.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they did remake it later for the GameCube as Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes.
And then you have people like Mega Man in there, who's not even remotely a Nintendo property. I mean, he's been on the NES once, I think, but
he was only in Nintendo properties for
years.
Years.
Capcom, and that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
he doesn't belong to Nintendo, but he was, like, for his first more than 10 games, he was only on Nintendo console.
That's because
and more importantly, Bayonetta, who didn't even start.
Okay, but that's
Nintendo.
different because they bought that basically.
Yeah, they did buy that. Yeah.
But so I don't know. They could have made Alucard. They just didn't.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going by what a character was incepted on, Bayonetta is not the ideal candidate for Smash.
Yeah.
You're not going by what a character was incepted on. You're going by.
Okay. So I have a question.
Bayonetta was Bayonetta in all of the Nintendo ones, which he was an exclusive on.
So
I'm not necessarily talking about Inception. I'm talking more about like when they were on Nintendo consoles. But Shadow Moses Island, though, yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it's just a little sad though because Symphony of the Night is the most iconic Castlevania game, and it's like still one of the best games ever made. Like,
yeah. It literally defined an entire genre.
Yeah.
So
well, that and Super Metroid.
And Super Metroid.
That's why they call it Castlevania, because they both did similar things at around
Metroidvania.
Oh,
Castlevania.
Right. Metroidvania. I'm sorry.
They call it Castlevania because it takes place inside of a castle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't it be funny though if they added like Leon Kennedy in a DLC?
Oh
yeah.
Because Metal Gear or
I think you were saying
Resident
somebody
Evil
like
4,
Raiden.
Resident Evil 4 came out on the GameCube first. It was like one of the big things about GameCube at the time.
Yeah.
So that would make sense. But then they might have to do stuff, and they already have Capcom characters. But then they might have to do stuff like put in Dante in there from Devil May Cry.
Yeah,
Super Smash
Pac-Man,
Brothers featuring
Nintendo
Dante from Devil May Cry.
Isn't Pac-Man a Smash character?
Yeah, he is.
He is, yeah.
I mean, I was on Nintendo consoles, but that was Namco.
I think that might be the only Namco property, right?
Yeah.
Maybe there might be another one. There's also like Ghost and Ghoul stuff,
I think they made a
right?
Homestuck video game.
Anyway, and Shovel Knight. Shovel
joke,
Knight,
go fuck
instead
yourself.
of being an
It's an
actual
assist
character, is a assist trophy.
I mean, yeah, but he is like an indie game that just got really big, and that's, I mean...
Yeah, but people were really wanting him to be in Smash. They were joking. People were joking a lot about him being in Smash, and now he's an assist trophy, which...
Yeah. I mean, that's good, though.
That's like recognition, but it's almost like a slap in the face, because you're like, oh, that means this character will never be in Smash.
Here's something I want to point out. Something that they did announce was they showed off a couple assist trophies. One of the assist trophies that they showed off was Rathalos from Monster Hunter.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
fun.
yeah,
And
that was cool.
they said specifically that Rathalos was both an
assist
assist
trophy and a
trophy
boss.
and a map boss, meaning
boy.
that there is a Monster Hunter map. There's nothing else it could be.
Yeah, well, yeah.
No, they
So
said that it was a boss that could appear on any map, I think.
I don't think
I
there
think-
are bosses that appear on any map. I'm pretty
Hell yeah.
sure.
I
I'm
think
pretty sure they were
Rathalos-
talking about something like Kraid in Brinstar Depths, or
Just imagine that. Instead of Kraid popping out, a fucking Rathalos smacks the stage.
yeah, that'd be
I
pretty good.
don't know. Because the way that they made it sound was that it was sort of a more random thing, though, that like you could have that on multiple.
Well,
maps,
they said
but...
they said that it was the first time that something appeared as an assist trophy and a map boss, meaning like.
Well, they didn't say map boss; they said boss.
And a boss, yeah, I guess.
So-
but
I think it could go either way. I just wouldn't get your hopes up.
I'm hoping that there will be a Monster Hunter map, because usually there is not representation for a map without a representative character, right?
You know what?
but-
You know what? I do got my hopes up. Let me tell you guys something. Speaking of started on Nintendo, there's one character who has not been shown as an assist trophy,
I know
and
where you're
was a
going with
character that was started on Nintendo. I'm hyped for Shantae and Smash. That's who I'm gonna main. Definitely, absolutely. I can't wait.
Also, if they were mad about Alucard being on Symphony of the Night, why the fuck is Sonic and Tails and
Yeah,
and Knuckles-
really?
Much better quest.
So-
Well, that's because Nintendo won that war, so they're not mad. They're like, ah, bitch, you're in our game now,
Castlevania
motherfucker."
games have appeared on Nintendo consoles since then. I don't know.
And they've all been trash.
Well, I
That's
think
because
the
nothing can live up to Symphony of the Night.
I actually think the
Because
handheld,
all of the 3V Castlevanias are bad.
the 3DS Castlevanias are good.
Oh, I meant like 3D,
All the 3D
like,
ones, yes, but the
Yeah.
3DS ones, I was mentioning
Yeah.
that there are Nintendo ones that are good. The 3DS ones are all
Oh,
good.
okay.
Dawn of Sorrows, Castlevania DS.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm more and more excited for Smash as it comes. They also announced like they have, if you're interested in the music, they're putting music playlists on their website and stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited
Which
for
is great.
probably the best remix of Vampire Hunter.
And of course, there will be a sound test where you can play. It's basically every single song from every single game that every single character is representing, which is like, I think they said they quoted like 700 plus songs.
Yeah, something like that. More if you
now-
count different versions of the same songs too.
I own a physical copy of the Brawl soundtrack. There
That's
are
cool.
like 40 songs on it. Like, so that is a big difference.
Yeah.
I might buy a soundtrack like that for
Yeah, if there were like a 700 song soundtrack, like that's not even like, that's at that point that's not even a Smash soundtrack. That's like a Nintendo anthology soundtrack.
in a way it
which
is, and
Yeah.
that's why they were kind of talking about it, is because more and more Smash has become a not just a Nintendo
anthology, like-
anthology, but an anthology of all the properties it represents, because there's a bunch of like Konami tracks in there now too, because
Yeah,
they have all the
but
they have
yeah.
all the Castlevania games and all the
Yeah, I think
Um,
I actually looked at the website. One of the songs they
Metal
have
Gear
in there
games.
is Snake Eater.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all super cool. I'm pretty excited for Smash. I can't
Also,
wait
a
for it.
fuck ton of maps. There's gonna be like 800 maps.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
basically
good.
every map they've ever had too.
Yeah.
And Final Destination versions of all of those maps.
Not
Final-
880 maps. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's including the Final Destination and alpha
Yeah.
or beta versions or whatever.
Right.
Omega is what it's called.
I think there was one more thing I wanted to
Um,
mention, but I can't remember.
I don't know if this is what you wanted to mention, but the other thing that I want to mention is, instead of playing Final Destination or Omega versions of the maps, which Omega version is just like Battlefield style,
Yeah.
3 platforms and flat.
Yeah.
They also have versions of the maps which are the same map but without stage hazards turned on. So that can be that'd be nice if you're sick and tired of fighting on Final Destination and want or Battlefield and want a more variety of like map layouts, but still think that the map hazards are bullshit, which I don't. I think the
I don't
map
either.
hazards add to it
Yeah.
because you have to.
I
it's
mean,
just
you know,
more
I'm a
things to
scrub
think
because
about.
I enjoy playing with items. So
Well, that's the. I mean, if you do want to like play in Brimstar Depths and like listen to the badass music while you're playing and not have to deal with a guy.
Oh, that's another
Kyrat
thing that they
popping up
said.
every seconds.
That's another thing they said. If you play on a particular map, you can have it be any soundtrack from that series on that map now.
Yeah.
The maps will. There's a map change game mode where you select 2 maps and the maps will randomly interchange between the 2
Oh
of
yeah,
them.
that's another thing. That might be fun
That's-
on some levels. Particular
Yeah.
levels.
Well, there are some levels that already do that, but they're like self-contained versions of that.
No, but it means you can
Like,
can put together like basically any 2 maps they were saying. So you could do things like go from like the temple in Zelda Hyrule
Yeah.
Castle, right? And then
Yeah.
and have it transform into like I don't know.
Brinstar
Yeah,
Depths,
Brinstar
which is
Depths.
a really fucking tiny map.
Yeah.
So that might be fun. The other thing I was going to mention is with the Castlevania characters, they added a Castlevania map, which they pretty much said directly, except they didn't, that you get to fight Dracula. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. They were like, and there's some interesting enemies to fight, and then they just show Dracula on the screen, but we don't know who.
And it'd be like playing Castlevania, fighting Dracula,
Yeah.
but playing Smash.
Yeah.
And then he just has to say, what is a human?
What is a man?
What is a man?
Like it's like playing Castlevania
And Mario will
fighting
be like,
Dracula.
"It's a me."
Yeah, and Mario was there. Sometimes
then-
Kirby shows up to help.
And then Snake is standing right next to Mario, and he's like, "You're not a human."
I know what you wanted to say, Saine. The
Luigi
very
died.
important piece of news that we didn't go over. This is a very important piece of
Is
news.
Knack in Smash Brothers?
Nintendo has made a statement saying that Luigi is okay. Luigi
you,
does
Nintendo.
not die. Luigi is alive and well.
He's
I
still
heard about
hunting
that.
ghosts.
Wasn't it like Nintendo Taiwan or something?
Yeah, they were
Yeah.
like, "Don't worry, Nintendo.
Luigi is
Luigi
okay."
is not dead."
Luigi's okay. Stop worrying. We know you love him. We didn't kill him off. We killed off Mario though when we revealed Ridley.
Rooster Teeth posted
sorry.
a video on the No channel that said, "Rest in peace, Luigi," and it was like talking about the Luigi or the Smash news. But
Good.
anyway,
All right, so we are like way over time. I think that's
Oh,
all
yeah.
the news we have. Any closing thoughts?
that was
Yeah.
3 hours. That was almost as long as our old podcast when we did 3-hour podcasts.
Yeah. Shit.
So yeah, let's wrap this up. Make sure you join our Discord group and like, comment, and subscribe on this video. And
Definitely. And our other videos.
Yes.
yeah, and play Monster Hunter. And if you
Yeah,
join our
fucking play
Discord,
Monster
if you join our Discord group, you can play Monster Hunter with us, maybe.
Yeah.
And I can carry you.
Or you can
And
carry
these two
me.
at the same time.
Or you can carry me. Who knows?
Yeah, who
Um,
knows? That's the fun.
If join our curator group on Steam. We also have a Steam
Yes.
group. Yeah, whatever. And yeah,
kinds of fun
what's coming
stuff.
up on your channel this week? More Monster Hunter, Thel or Dalsson? Sorry, Thel.
Yeah, probably more Monster Hunter. I might be streaming some World of Warcraft, which I know nobody's interested in, because Battle for Azeroth just dropped today. But I'm so into Monster Hunter that I haven't even had a chance to try it.
It's okay. If you
we'll
take
see
a
what
break on
happens.
Monster Hunter, we can catch up with you a little bit.
You are like 3 quests behind me. And how many times do I have to tell
Well,
you?
it doesn't matter. Even if I was 3 quests ahead of you, you could probably do 3 quests in a night. Catch up with me again.
That's true. That's true.
And me and Megan played for a long time after you guys went to bed, and we just hunted fucking Lugia 3 times.
Oh, damn it. I wanted to hunt that more. I kind of need some stuff from
Yeah.
that.
Well,
Anyway.
And then Thel.
Yeah. So
what-
and a new Hearthstone expansion as well. I might be checking that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have anything coming up this Friday?
this week? Nope.
Okay.
I had a video that came up that was a Gungeon video. Nothing this week.
Oh, that went up. This.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't watch that yet. I need to go back and watch
It's
that.
hilarious. You should watch it.
All right.
Thel was not expecting it to be as funny as it was, but it was. It was great.
I had like the idea for this video 2 days before I made it, and that was 2 days before it released.
Oh, good.
Nice.
That's how you know it's good. Anyway, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. And remember, as always,
Stay beautiful.